places we know about. They're hiding, I swear to God. But we are jumping in as we switch over. We are coming to the end of the first few rounds. It is currently... we're going to close that. That should be all good. Pixels actually able to take it away with a victory. Currently 6-2 to the Fish Fan Club. We did kind of call it, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah. I also just saw 58.15 fastest time right there. And when we were kind of looking at this track before, I kind of felt like we were talking about, or was that a different track we were talking about where, you know, we wanted to see them kind of get, you know, just under the 1 minute mark would be a good run, but Pixels well and truly under it right there. Either way, starting another round, as you can see, it is going to be Kimmy out in front with SQLC. SQLC still the big question mark of a player and how well they will be able to kind of coexist with their Russian duo at the moment. It is all SQLC out in front. Kimmy currently riding second place, but as long as Hetone is able to herd third, going over the jump, they should be okay. Big ice wall, and you can see SQLC, a much cleaner exit right there. More distance being put on Kimmy as we get close to one of the more difficult parts to hold that speed. Very outside line for Kimmy, trying to get back. Should be just enough, though, to get over these rooftops. This is the identity for the parkour map, and they're all going to hit it clean, but SQLC with the early lead gets a nice time, 57.6.
Really unfortunate for Pixels getting an early crash and putting him in the back, but that is going to be handy for SQLC, knowing that he's going to be running away with the lead starting out. As we do go into track point for the Fish Fan Club, all they need is an ace, and they're moving on with a point on under their wing. We've got Hetone up the front, currently with Kimmy fighting for that position. Kimmy's going to be taking the much cleaner line, getting himself the inside corner, as he does manage to get up onto the black platform pretty smoothly. But Pixels is able to get the inside line much easier, and it's going to be Hetone going wide and crashing into the neon. See you later. Hetone's going to have to take a respawn on that one.
Yeah, you can see it happening, just way too much speed and way too tight of an angle, unfortunately, for Hetone, and down they go, and with SQLC about a half second behind as well. I mean, aces don't come easy, but the Lefish Fan Club, they're in position. If they can just nail the identity, they should be good. Kimmy, very fast again, up that ramp, and now it's back down over the rooftops, taking, you know, very straight, very centered landings. It's not going to be all four wheels here, but it's going to be enough. Kimmy gets first, Pixels gets second, and there's the ace, and there's the first round to Lefish.
Unfortunate that we did join halfway through this first round, but Lefish is able to bring in the W. The first match of the, the first round of the Apac regional goes to Lefish as we move on to the second map, which was...
You know what? Given everything that's happened, I think we're going to be a little bit forgiven that we may not have the pixel perfect memory, but here we go. It's going to be slow down for our second run through. And as we go through the warm-up, Edamame, why don't you give us a little rundown on this track?
Indeed. I will have to do it into a bit of round one as we only have a 10-second warm-up, but this map is notorious for some really tight lines and trying to make sure that you're trying to stick on the outside dirt as much as possible. So as we do get started with round one, you're going to be having this downhill section where you want to stick as close to the corner as possible to get as much speed heading onto the grass, lining yourself up cleanly as you enter the water. That open water actually gives you that bounce, as you can tell. Outside dirt here to try and keep the gear and keep as much speed as possible. Into your right-hand drift where you want to basically blind fire yourself into that corner to try and get as much speed as possible. Through the reactor penalty grass where we saw Kimmy take her bonk on that outside dirt. SQLC able to go into the lead here through the bobsled. We head into this drop down where if you have the speed, you're going to be hitting it cleanly. Once again, a 180 drift as we head onto the dirt. You're going to be going onto a bit of a wider line to try and not lose the gear, lose too much speed on it. As we drift into the identity, it is fragile, it is drift, it is trying not to jump off the ramps and trying to slow down essentially, but speed up because you want to win the round.
Yeah, well, winning this first round, it does look like it's going to be going to the Russians right there. They come through in first and second with Hetone across the line. Again, they were the team that did pick this map, so not too surprising to see them get that early ace as we get ready for our second round into this one. A lot of bumps coming out of Lefish, especially through this first section right here, which was a little bit surprising because of how tight it is. You would kind of tend to expect everyone to be somewhat similar, and you'd see the differences towards the tail end of it all, but it really shows how intricate this track is going to be as we're kind of watching Hetone right there get as close to the wall as possible. Everyone trying to hit those corners. A bit further back right now, Pixel and Kimmy actually doing quite well. Looks like SQLC is second back, may have had a little bit of bump themselves, and they're going to be hoping for a mistake out of the Leftish fan club in its wake. Still, Hitone out in front right now. That's a good run from Pixel, but it looked like it was a mistake from Kimmy, and that could be exactly what SQLC would be looking for as the battle out in front gets closer to the feature. It does look like Kimmy was able to fight back, so the teammates fighting for second place in the end, though. That's a big bump from Pixel. Speed lost, but also a loss of traction. It looks like Kimmy wound up bumping off and over, but still not enough for SQLC to make the comeback either, where Hitone was in control from start to finish and will win the round.
That was a really unfortunate jump from Kimmy. He knew that he didn't have to slow down enough, and that did cost him the round. They're going to a draw with that. Hitone had just run away with it. But they're still in a fight. Anything can happen in these matches as we do get started with the next round. Kimmy currently in the lead right now as we do have Hitone trying to duel it out with him. You can see Hitone right in Kimmy's bumper trying to get as close as possible. Kimmy with some internet problems. Hopefully they won't last too long. Pixel's going wide and he hits the accidental firework. I don't know if that firework was meant to be there, but there is a firework just sitting in the track. That is an obstacle, but that is going to be enough for Pixel to be crashing and unable to recover. Maybe an out, but we'll just have to see how it goes later in the track.
I mean, you don't want to see the out right now, though, because there was a chance where Kimmy actually was going toe-to-toe with Hitone right there, and is still taking some risks. I think, you know, Leftish Fan Club a little bit desperate to try to at least draw this round, but it doesn't look like that's meant to be. Pixel had a bump. They've fallen behind. That may have even been a crash, actually. So we're going to see Mujiki out in front, kind of just coast the end right there. No need to take risks. They've got the ace, and that's going to move them to match point.
5 milliseconds between the two of them. The two of them are dueling with each other at this point. They're like, hey, we're in the lead. Who's going to actually take this out? Hitone wants to try and get those points, but SQLC managed to pull through at the very last second, and that's going to be an ace for those two.
Yeah, that's a really strong ace, and again, you know, with just how well Hitone and how comfortable like they happen to feel on this track, I have to believe that even if we draw our way till the end, I don't really see the Leftish Fan Club or Lefish Fan Club coming back in this one right now. Still, though, Kimmy's got a really good start, and this could be perhaps the beginning of a comeback.
I'm hoping it's the beginning of a comeback, but SQLC getting the bump with the reactor, that's going to give him so much speed, reducing the grass traction. It's weird because in Trackmania, you want to try and keep your wheels on the ground. Wheels on the ground's acceleration. Acceleration is potentially gearing up or holding the gear. But on that corner, you want the airtime, and he made the most of that. Able to push himself into first place. Hitone right behind as well. Pixels is going to have to fight to stop the ace there as they go into the identity. SQLC is getting the perfect drift and lining himself up. That's going to be Pixels trying to make a move. Pixels is right there knowing that he could deny the ace as SQLC is able to push through, and it's going to be SQLC taking it by 0.1. It's not going to be the ace, and we are going to move to the next round.
Yeah, well, it still feels pretty dire, though, for Lefish Fan Club at the end of that one. I mean, it just feels like Mujiki, they know this track very, very well. And at first it was Hitone, then it's kind of shifted back to SQLC. Lefish, they haven't had someone really win a round yet. Now they kind of have to, otherwise this second track is going to go against them. But another great start from the Russians, once more dueling with each other. SQLC right on that outside line. Already got about 3/10 of a gap on their opponents, and Lefish, they're going to have to start taking some crazy risks.
I think Lefish realizes that this was actually the Russians' pick, so they know that they've got the map like sorted out. They wanted this map, but Kimmy and Pixels may not have had that comfortability on this map. So I think they're ready to accept the fact that unless they get the next 3 aces, they're just going to have to sacrifice this map and get it back on Agility Dash, which is the next map. And Agility Dash, I'm keen to see how they go on the identity for that one.
Yes. Oh, that's actually going to be a lot of fun. And oh, that was the risk I was talking about before. We knew it was going to come on the identity. Pixels went for it. And you might as well when you need an ace to stay alive. As it stands, Kimmy still comes across in first. But with a draw, the win is going to go to Mujiki. And we're tied up now at 1 apiece.
1 apiece, especially going into some of the harder maps we've got later on, is not a comfortable position for Lefish Fan Club. They know that they've got to play out of their mind in the upcoming maps to ensure they get that spot that's coming through. At the same time, it's Agility Dash. Agility Dash is Agility Dash.
Agility dash is great. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't rage out on this track at all when I accidentally reset my lap on multiple occasions at the very end, but we'll see how it goes. And Amame, once more, take us through Agility Dash.
Agility Dash is a very, very fast-paced map. You want to make sure you're keeping your gear. You want to make sure you're getting all your transitions clean. Bonks are bad. We like to call them touches. We like to call them crashes. We know them as bonks, and bonks are bad, folks. You want to make sure you're trying to get through every corner as tight as possible. Keep your gear ups, keep your angles, and especially with some of these transitions, you want to make sure that you're getting the right lineups for some of these, such as this upcoming one where Kimmy took the left, knowing he had to try and get that left jump to not crash into the poles, but that's going to be him almost out of the round. Really bad crash. Heaton able to push to the front through the dirt section as we go into the engine off. Nice casual engine off section as we go into a drift, jumping down onto a plastic downhill section. And that plastic downhill section, you want to try and line yourself up, gain as much speed as possible as you head into this fastest section on the map. Tight drift into double super boost as you try to get that speed slide into your loop. This section here, you want to try and brake as minimal as possible to keep as much speed. Pixel's taking a perfect line there with that double drift. Heading onto the plastic where it forces you into a drift, but you need to drift that extra little bit to not go off the side. It's going to be this left drift where you want to keep as close to that little point as possible, and you want to have a really tight drift as you head into that checkpoint. Then a little bit one that you recognize, Knife Edge from a previous season. It's a little one there as we get into the penalty grass to slow you down for Agility Dash's identity. And this is where all hell could break loose if the players aren't consistent. You want to make sure you're keeping as much speed as possible and getting yourself through that identity. Heaton sniping by 92 milliseconds. This identity is brutal. If you mess up the start section before the CP, you are back to the penalty grass. You have basically crashed yourself out, potentially even putting yourself out of the round entirely. But Heaton able to get it through and make it a draw, stopping that victory for the Fish Fan Club 1-1.
I mean, it kind of shows, you know, how devastating in the end the identity of this track can be, because we saw Kimmy have the early crash at the start of that one. Didn't matter, still was able to finish third just because of how much SQLC did struggle at that identity. So as we start this next round, again, at the start, it's all about the speed. It's all about, you know, hitting those tight lines. But everything on this one can flip on its head at the ending. So we're going to keep our eyes on that one for the time being. Right now, though, it is Heaton and Pixel. Once again, the two out in front dueling, but Kimmy, bit of extra momentum on the dirt, might be able to come back. A bit of breathing during the engine off. I consider that, you know, almost to be the break of this track, when you can kind of step back, relax, and get ready for the incredibly fast middle section.
This middle section is where everything could go wrong, and I don't know if you noticed, but Heaton did, unfortunately.
Oh.
That's SQLC gone too. Heaton bonked on the side of the platform. He did have a little bit of an off wheel, and that was him out of the round. But he's now recovered, gone past Kimmy. SQLC, we also saw go off the track, but he's going to be just behind Kimmy. Kimmy gets a crash as well, and that's going to be him pushed back. Pixels is able to just run away with this if he can keep himself steady as we do head into the knife edge. It's going to be close. He's keeping himself close and manages to get through clean, right on the edge, knowing he's got to risk as much as possible. Heaton's right there, ready to pounce on any of Pixels' mistakes. Pixels knows he's got a full send through this section, knowing that Heaton can catch up, and Pixels is out. It's going to be Heaton running away with that. SQLC in second. That's going to be an ace for Majuki.
Oh, that has got to be heartbreaking for LaFish Fan Club as well, because they had this one. Early mistakes from both Heaton and SQLC. You would think, you know, LaFish would be able to run away with it at a moment, but this is, you know, what happens on Agility Dash. I feel like out of all the tracks, you know, that have been selected in this World Tour, like this one is the most volatile. This is the one where the most things can go wrong at any given moment, and we kind of saw it right there, even without the identity at the end. Round number 3, LaFish Fan Club, they picked this track, I'm pretty sure. They're the ones who felt like they'd be more comfortable. They're going to be looking to bounce back here, and this was a better start for them, but Heaton, with so much momentum through these early sections, is able to bring it back into the dirt, though Kimmy has been fast through these parts, but has made a couple mistakes, particularly at the start here. Looking for the clean landing, finds it. Now it's going to try to keep the gears, setting up for this longer drift right now. And things are looking a little better for LaFish at the moment. They might have this round as theirs.
It's looking like it's going to be a LaFish round, potentially a victory for them. But as we do head through the loop, it's going to be Kimmy currently running away with it. SQLC is fighting for that position, knowing that he could potentially get himself into that higher position. He's risking it through all the corners, hits the snow. That's going to be enough of a slowdown to Kimmy so that Kimmy can actually get himself that higher place. Kimmy gets the clean drift up there. SQLC is currently fighting it out, knowing he has to full send to try and stop that victory. SQLC gets the better landing, and that's going to be the push he needs as he heads into the identity. All SQLC has to do is get this identity faster than Kimmy, and it's going to be a draw as we do have SQLC crashing.
Oh no!
Kimmy had to go for a flat respawn as well. Hetone is able to run away and get himself first place. Kimmy in second, SQLC in third. And that's going to be a victory for Majiki once again.
I found out the secret to this map. Get your crash out early. Get your bumps and crashes at the start of the round, and you're going to come back and win it. So far, every single one of these has had a driver come from behind and get it done either right before the identity or during the identity in this one. So definitely it feels as if it comes down to the bitter end. And right now, it's been all Mizuki as they've got themselves a nice lead. Granted, flip on its head once again. Early days, once more, we'll see Pixel out in front and a little bit of a mistake from Hetone, but as we've seen in the past 2 rounds, that's not going to mean much moving forwards.
It's definitely one of those situations where this map, with the speed that you're carrying, you're going to have to try and keep your clean lines there, and so you're risking as much as possible, knowing everyone could drive the clean, safe lines. Kimmy gets the no slide, and that's going to be him put out of it. It's going to be Pixels and SQLC dueling in the front. Hetone also having himself a crash, and that's not going to be good for them. But as you can see, it's all a game of consistency. It's not just, you know, driving clean. It's trying to keep your consistent lines and keeping that pace, because if you can outpace them, that's fine. But one crash and you're gone. It's an out at that point because of how fast-paced and intense this map can be.
Yeah, I mean, we can see already, like, Kimmy is pretty much already outed on this one, so it's kind of up to Pixels to make sure that they can maintain that top position. But we've seen this already where Pixels goes into the identity and then just kind of loses it out in the end. Well, Pixels right now should be about to hit it as they go through the slowing pads. Will they be able to land it clean?
Fingers crossed for Pixels as he does head into the first platform, lands it cleanly, hits the second platform, has to slow down, but that is enough for him. Relatively clean. He did have to slow down a little bit, but that's still enough for him to get first, stop any victory, and he is going to be getting a draw with this.
Yeah, that's actually very unfortunate right there for Pixels. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time we've seen someone have the lead from the start and actually hold it throughout without making any mistakes.
Indeed, it is that first time that we've seen that, and as a clarification as well, folks, because we had a victory and a second and third, Kimmy, as we saw, did not finish. It is still classed as a draw because the first player still managed to finish and the other 2 came second and third. So that is where a draw is going to be. But heading into the next round, we got Pixels going to the lead once again. Hetone dueling it out at the front as well, knowing he's going to be fighting it close. It's going to be Hetone and Pixels. Everyone's actually basically inside each other. This is the closest start we've seen for a while.
Been waiting for one of these, and this is kind of how you would typically almost expect this map to play out, where everyone stays super tight at the start, and it's not until sort of you pass the halfway point. Pretty much after this plastic section right here is where I really was expecting to see a lot more of the variety sort of come through. As it stands right now, we're still super tight coming through these next slides now into the big boost. SQLC out in front at the moment with Pixels playing chase. Pixels, who had been so consistent in the past throughout the start of this track, is going to have to kind of dig a little deeper right here. Goes for a riskier inside line. Actually held the speed a little bit stronger than expected, but goes wide into that checkpoint, and that's going to be a lot of time lost. SQLC now just needs to finish clean, and the round could go to Majiki.
It could go to Majiki, but Kimmy's actually trying to catch up right now. That mistake was unfortunate for Pixels, but Kimmy is right there as well, knowing that if he can capitalize on SQLC's mistake, they could still take the round, but it is going to be Hetone moving to the back. I believe there was a mistake back there, but Kimmy is keeping full pace. SQLC's gone! Kimmy takes the round. Pixels takes it second. That is your first ace on this map. Congratulations.
And LaFish needed that. It goes from a 4-point to a 1-point deficit now. LaFish right back in this one. That feature strikes again. Having the lead going into the feature is bad news, Edamame. It's not worth it. Just go into it in second and third and you'll be fine.
The identity is the brutal point. of these maps. And that's what makes these maps. It's why these TMWT and TMGL maps are so special. They have these identities that you could drive the rest of the map so clean. Keep yourself first place. You hit the identity bad, you are gone. See you later. You are going to fourth place.
And this is more reason why, you know, this track is better than Flip of Faith, because the identity is at the end and not at the start to make things dramatic. And I'm going to stand by that one moving forward. As it stands right now, Pixels maintaining that momentum moving forward. Kimmy right there beside them as they go through that boost. SQLC, a very inside line, actually holds on to that momentum as well and is quickly running down the leader, still staying as inside as possible. May have lost a little bit of speed right there. Kimmy, on the other hand, though, is starting to gain either way. We're about to get going into the knife's edge, just another couple corners. And once again, this is going to be another dramatic finish.
It is going to be a close finish. All the players know what's on the line. 1 point separating them. They know that as long as they can drive clean, it's going to be SQLC actually moving to the front, trying to deny that victory. As we do head through the identity, he does get a rough landing, but that's going to be the safe strat. As he does move forward, he's going to hit it cleanly, and that's SQLC taking the round. Pixels Kimmy second, third. He-Tone in the back. That's a draw.
Yeah, it's going to be a draw, but Mojiki's going to be quite happy with that. The big thing right now, though, an ace either way will take it. Mojiki, though, if they're able to get a round win as well, it could be there. So, LaFish Fan Club, do you play it safe right now, or do you risk it? Because it feels like risking it so far has not gone in favor of either side, as SQLC barely actually made that jump right there, able to just hang on. I don't know, I feel like playing safe is kind of more what I'd favor.
I'd say it's a bit of a mix. You want to actually push to try and stop that. But keep in mind, if LaFish get a victory, we're going to a 9-9. And if they keep drawing, we might have the situation where it goes into an overtime.
No.
So they know they don't want to do that.
We're not doing that again. That is a bad time all around. Actually, you know what? That's a great time. When it's, you know, round 7, right? When we're at the end. I don't know. It seems a little early for overtime forever. Either way, we might not have to worry about that because Mujiki currently set themselves up for an ace by about 0.2 of a second. As Hi-Tone is falling back a bit. Kimmy actually able to get that spot back, but it's not going to be enough. Has to be able to catch SQLC as they're going to continue to ride a tight line. They risked it too much. Got a bit of a bump, and now Mujiki again in position for the ace.
It's potentially Mujiki as well. Have to see how we go, but SQLC did take the knife's edge badly. It is going to be Hi-Tone, who's losing a bit of speed on that. Kimmy's going to be trying to catch up, trying to deny it. Will Kimmy be able to take this cleanly? Gets a clean landing as he does head into the end section. So clean from him. He jumps to the front, stops that victory, and it is going to be a draw. 9-8 in favor of Mujiki.
Or is it, though? I mean, SQLC is having some troubles. SQLC still hasn't finished yet. Actually dropped back. Pixel is going to steal the round right back, and we're going to be tied at 9-all.
9-all. They know that anyone could take it. 1 victory or 1 ace, and we move on to the next map. Fingers crossed. We'll see how this goes.
Okay, so I've come to realize something right now. SQLC, complete coin flip when it comes to the identity right here. I think SQLC is shooting 50-50, either kind of wins the round or winds up crashing out. So much of this I feel like is going to be relying on SQLC. Speaking of which, out in front at the start, but kind of got a little bit too much air right there. Is going to give up first place back to Pixels. I don't know. Quick prediction right now. Does SQLC land the identity? Does this round go to Mujiki?
Potentially it won't make much of a difference because Kimmy had a late start. You saw him start about a second late, so that's why he is behind. If Pixels can get first place, we go to a draw. But SQLC is currently fighting it out with Pixels. It's coming down to mistakes, so I don't know which way it's going to swing. I'm hoping Pixels gets this, but who knows?
Who knows right now? I mean, this is a good fight we're seeing out for first place, but I'm just worried about the consistency of SQLC once we get to that identity. At the moment, though, things looking pretty good. They're still going toe-to-toe, and it's Hi-Tone who actually we have to be a little bit cautious of. Already a couple seconds back behind Kimmy, which is not where you want to be. At the moment, we're currently drawn, but if SQLC loses the lead, which they're starting to do right now, that could be the round going to LaFish as we head over the knife's edge right now. Rough landing for Pixels gives the lead back to SQLC, getting set up for the identity. Can they hit it clean? Over the first jump, it's a good landing, but they're going to risk it a little bit. Loses a bit of speed. Late lunge coming back. No, SQLC holds on.
SQLC holds on, but Kimmy made a mistake. Hi-Tone's able to capitalize, and that's going to be the second map to Mujiki.
Mujiki coming, well, not really coming back, but recovering, that round, because you have to remember, they took off to that early lead. It was 7-3 before it wound up at 9-9. So LaFish almost made the comeback happen, comes up short at the very, very end. But, I mean, for Mujiki, they got to be feeling pretty good right now. LaFish were the ones who chose that map. Mujiki kind of stole it off them. It kind of feels like they're in control right now moving forwards.
2-1's a good position to be in. As you could probably know from casting Rocket League, 2-1 is a great position to be in as you move into forward, further matches. And in this round, they know that they basically, for this track specifically, this track is also going to come down to the identity at the end. If you can hit the bug slide clean, you're going to have a great time. As we get started with round 1, let's talk about this map. This map here is all about trying to keep your traction. There's a lot of spots where you can slip out. That start is brutal for slide outs. If you don't hit that cleanly, you're going to be sliding out, and you're going to have to try and drift around the first few corners. Then you have this 180 drift here where you want to actually go wide to give as much speed through this dirt jump, where we do have Hitone and Kimi dueling it out. You don't want the air time, so as you saw, they went from left to right and then back to left to try and get through it as smooth as possible. Kimi's able to push through now as we head into the first flat water section, where the start obviously had the pool. That was a flat water section where you had the reactor down. Easy corner on the outside, and you should be fine. As we do head through the dirt, you want to try and keep a flat line all around. You don't want to do what Kimi did and right up on the side. Here, you want to get the inside line for that bug slide, as you do get reactor, and then you get the booster. You then go into a plastic section where you want to try and keep as much traction as possible and not slide out. Hitone getting a lot of speed out of here through the water section where you have engine off. This identity is all wet plastic bug slides, so you want to make sure you're hitting the bug slides clean. The bug slides could decide rounds, as you see there, with Pixels able to snipe SQLC at the end. Kimi now going into the identity. Will he hit the slides cleaning? Will Hitone have to recover? It is not looking good for Hitone. Kimi able to take that third place, and that is going to be the victory for LaFish Fan Club. First round on this map.
LaFish are able to take that, but you have to feel like Mujiki realistically should still be good moving forwards. Again, it was that last lunge which got LaFish that first place, and a mistake at the end from Hitone, which winds up costing them either way into second round in this one. Hitone once more out in front, and directly behind you could see that is SQLC right beside Mujiki. Hot start to begin with, but realistically everyone's super tight together. Super inside line actually by Hitone. A little bit surprising to see that one work out. Maybe a little bit of variancy we could be catching moving forwards. Either way, Pixels, the one who is dropping back early, already about a half second down. Meanwhile, Kimi trying to get back into that second position, but it's all Hitone leading the pack.
Hitone leading the pack is a very good sight to see, but we'll have to see how it goes later on. With that wide line and that little bonk by Kimi, it means SQLC is going to be running up the front with Kimi in second. Pixels has finally caught his way up, so now everyone's together, enjoying the celebration of the fact that they've got to play Slippy Slides. As we do have SQLC and Hitone dueling it up at the front. Hitone's a little bit behind, but he knows that SQLC can hit this identity clean. So as long as both of them can hit it clean, this could be an ace as we do we do see Pixels sliding out. SQLC sliding out.
Oh no!
Hitone can run away with this round. Kimi in second, but will Pixels recover faster? No, it's going to be SQLC, and that's a victory for them, going to a 3-3 tied game.
It's always so disheartening when you think you're going to get that grip, or you think you're going to get that slide through, and it's just, nope, no, you're going off the side. Sorry, you kind of not pulled it off correctly this time around, and fortunately for LaFish, they're able to get that one back, and also fortunately for LaFish, a little bit of a bonk right there from SQLC, but same with Pixels, so not the best start for either team. Hitone, just like last round though, is the one leading the pack through the start.
Leading the pack through the start is a very, very good position to be in. Keeping yourself consistent up the front is meaning that you've got to get those points, whether it be a draw or a victory. But what's not a good thing is the fact that your teammate's gone. Your teammate's up the back somewhere, and you've got to pray that the teammate catches up. Currently, SQLC's in third, and that's a good position for him. That's a victory. But Pixels, we've seen being able to recover. He could recover and stop that. He could make it a draw, and we'd be into a drawed game after this round. But obviously, as we go into the ice slide, it's going to be Hitone currently at the front, with Kimi trying to fight his way forward. Hitone's just keeping it clean. He knows how to handle these corners. SQLC finally caught up to the pack as we do head into the identity. Kimi knows he's surrounded by the Russians, and that's him out. He's not able to get through the first slide. That is going to be an ace for Majiki.
I feel like that's the second time in a row, actually, we've seen Kimmy slide out at that same portion of the identity as well. Lefish really struggling with this. And again, it goes back to sort of the point and why that last map in particular was super big for Majiki, because it was the map that Lefish actually chose. This one was one of the ones that Majiki chose for themselves. So you'd sort of expect them to be more comfortable on it. And I think of it more like tennis. Yeah, I know you tried to compare it to Rocket League. I want to go to tennis right now. Majiki won a round while Lefish was serving, and whenever you can get those break points in your favor, it makes winning the set that much easier. And now Majiki, they're in the driver's seat of this set, but not in the driver's seat of this round as much. It is Pixel leading the way for the first time here on a slip and slide.
Slippy Slides is definitely one of those maps where traction counts, but I think that was Hito.
That was Kimmy.
No,
that was Hetone, yeah.
Yeah, Hetone decided that he wanted to drive into the CP, not through the CP, and that's Hetone crashing himself. We do actually have some other match info, because as you guys know, we play the matches at the same time just to speed things up. We do have Bedge actually taking out a 4-0 win over Kurz Purple, and Vobi getting a 4-0 win over Juice Racing. So congratulations to those guys. They will be moving forward through the upper bracket. We'll just have to see if Majiki is going to be able to hold on enough, especially with a win like that. We're going to have to see if they're going to be the ones fighting through into that upper bracket.
Pixels once again had a little oopsie at the same sort of moment where someone on Lefish always seems to have one, and that's actually going to be an ace to Majiki. They're now on round point, I should say, track point, the specific terminology. Either way, all they need is a draw, and this one is theirs. So Lefish fan club, they've only found 3 points so far. They're going to need 3 aces in a row.
3 aces in a row, or just making sure everyone else DNFs. Just get the aces, let the other 2 DNF, and that's a fighting chance. Majiki, all they got to do is finish first place. They've got the map. That's all we need to see. But Kimmy is currently leading the pack, knowing what's at stake here. They could lose the 3rd map to Majiki. It's technically the 4th map, but this is the 3rd map in Majiki's favor. If they are unable to recover, it's got to be Kimmy having to try and fight his way through the next 3 maps after this.
The thing that worries me is the identity, though, of this one, because Lefish haven't been able to hit it clean yet, it feels like, this entire time, and they're going to have to right here. SQLC barely able to get that boost. That was like the tip of the wheel, enough, though, to keep them in it. They may have lost that position, so it's actually up to Hetone right now to try and steal it away from Kimmy, who is still out in front. Here we go. Do they get the grip? Yes, they got it through the first jump. Will Kimmy get it through the second? Have had trouble in the past. Gets it this time. Will get first place, but Pixel so far back. That's going to be a draw, and that's going to be Majiki taking it home.
3 maps to 1 is not a good position for Lefish fan club. We may see the upset from Majiki after both of us said Lefish was going to win, but we will have to see as we go into this 5th map, which will be Aero Pipes. Oh, Aero Pipes. Woohoo, Aero Pipes.
Another track where the identity is at the end, which makes it superior to the ones where the identity is not at the end. I'm not naming names, Edamame, not anymore. I think we can figure it out right now, but it's always a lot more fun when we get a dramatic at the very last moment.
I don't know what you're talking about. Reps is a great map. But as we get started with the first round, a bit of explanation on this map. This start, you don't want to drift. You want to keep a full speed line on. Pixel's getting himself an early bonk is not going to be handy for this. You have this plastic slide where you want to line yourself up into this quarter pipe section. I don't know how I describe it. It's like a roofed quarter pipe in a way. You then have this icy plastic slide that lines you up onto the onto the ice with the plastic wall actually assisting you, even though you have no engine. Get through the ice slide. You get up this section. Hetone getting himself a small clip there, and that's Pixels going out once again. But as you do go through this quarter pipe section, you then get into a small tech section before yet another plastic section. You want to keep a tight, close line here as you jump and get an auto slide leading into the next section, which is dirt. We haven't seen a lot of dirt. Here's some more dirt just for fun. We have a dirt section where you want to be keeping those wide lines to try and stop your bonks. You go for the outside dirt on this line to maximize your speed into the engine off where you want to get onto this black road. Line yourself up well. And ladies and gentlemen, the identity of Aero Pipes, where everyone does not like this. Pixels came from the back of the pack. Hits it clean. That's his win. Just back of the pack.
And as I said at the start, Edamame, when you have your identity at the end, it just makes everything more fun. Unless you're rooting for Maziki, in which case you probably hate this track right now. Either way, Lefish pulling off at the tail end of that one. And you know what? That's a break that I feel like Lefish actually kind of needed going into this, because it feels like, especially, you know, back during Slippy Slide, where we kind of saw the identity not going in their favor, to start to get a little bit of momentum back on their track. Maybe they can carry it through. Either way, I'm still not used to the fact that you intentionally ride the wall right there. Does not matter. It's Kimmy leading the charge as we go through these big ice sections.
The ice sections can be brutal, especially if you're not an ice player, which I know can be the case for some of the players who got registered. They're good on ice, but they're not brilliant on ice. And the ice sections are crucial for this map. If you don't hit the ice sections correctly, you're going to be so far behind, as that's a clip from SQC. That is a SQLC. That is going to be Hetone able to move into second position. Pixels right now dueling out. Kimmy with a little clip. Hetone's able to move into first place, but Pixels is going to be fighting, knowing that it's going to be Hetone and Pixels dueling it up at the front, as we do have these guys dueling. Currently trying to get into this Aero pipe section. Pixels at the front of the pack. Will Hetone be able to recover? They're inside each other, but Pixels and Hetone right on top of each other. Pixels gets the rough left. No way! Pixels able to recover and get the smoother landing. 10 milliseconds ahead of Hetone. Kimmy able to get that third place, and that's going to be another victory for the Fish Fan Club. Both of us did not expect that.
Yeah, but at the same token, I feel like Pixels earned it. Maybe not necessarily for the pipe section, but for the dirt section as well, leading up into it. We saw the lines Pixel was taking, how much they were risking getting as high onto those banks as possible to make that comeback happen. And again, that last-minute capitalization on the mistake. A super well-won round right there for the Fish Fan Club, who are starting to pull a little bit further away. That said, though, Majiki, less, you know, little unforced errors that second round than the first. They're still very much in this track.
I mean, it's anyone's game on this map, considering that LaFish have proven that they're good on the map.
Yeah.
But if, with the mistakes that we're seeing from Kimmy and Pixels, it could still go in Majiki's favor. But Pixels is showing his consistency on the map, moving his way into first place, as we do have Hetone currently dueling it out with
Kimmy's
him at
gone,
the front.
though.
SQLC, yeah, Kimmy's just, I don't know where Kimmy is. Kimmy's on vacation, enjoying the sights, while Hetone and SQLC are trying to fight with Pixels, knowing that Pixels has won every round on this map. If Pixels can keep it up, that's going to be a good match. That's going to be a good map for LaFish.
I mean, and you can see it through this dirt section, the confidence from Pixels, just willing to take the riskier lines, get as wide as possible as we head into the identity, just landing super high up, and that's a little bit of a mistake right there from Hetone, and a mistake for SQLC as well. Pixels will cross the line in first, but well, actually, another mistake from Hetone. That could open the doorway for another win. Where is Kimmy at the moment? Coming across the finish line, and LaFish find another round in their favor.
That is not a good sight for Majiki, knowing that this identity is going to be their downfall. 2 points for LaFish. They now double the scoreline of Majiki on this map. That is not a good position to be in if you are Hetone or SQLC.
No, I mean, it's just Majiki's definitely struggling, but I have to go back to that pick and ban. This was a track that LaFish Fan Club did select for themselves, so they would be the favorites coming into this round in particular. It's the next round, assuming LaFish holds on to win this one, where the pressure is going to be on them, because that would be one of the tracks that Majiki has chosen. As it stands, first you got to get this one or lock and key, and we're not even on round point just yet. Hetone, for the first time, actually leading the charge. It's not the consistency of Pixel, who has fallen a little bit further behind, still very much in it, hasn't had any bumps yet, so could still challenge, especially through the identity towards the tail end as we make our way to the second half of the track.
Kimmy and Pixels are going to have an interesting time if they're able to recover this map and then get 2 more map wins. Because keep in mind, they're going to be fighting out with Vobi, who is Kuda Jinkrak, and Spark, who is Kunal but had a name change in the off-season. And Bedge. That's scary. I don't know how to feel about that one.
Look, yeah, if you want to win, you got to go up against them eventually, right? That's how I feel about that one. Double mistake! LaFish completely kind of crashed out right there. Each of them have to reset, so Majiki just needs to finish. They can get the ace. Kimmy crosses the line, and no! Not quite there. SQLC almost made it happen. As it stands, the round will go to Majiki, and they're just going to start their comeback kind of 2 points at a time, I suppose.
1 ace from LaFish, and it's all over on this map. But will Kimmy be able to fight for that second position or even get first place? Will Pixels be able to have that consistency? We shall see at the start of this next round. All the players keeping relatively close on the plastic, knowing that the plastic is where you're going to be losing that gear if you take it wrong. It's going to be Kimmy and Hetone currently dueling out at the front with Pixels right behind, trying to get the slide in as Kimmy moves his way forward. Hetone actually gets the better slide, question mark? Pixels is going to be moving forward. Kimmy's right there. That's the stuff we want to see. Hetone sees his competitors in the front and knows if I can beat one of them, it's not over just yet.
Yeah, but it's going to be tough. I mean, it really feels like both of LaFish's members right there really feeling themselves in all of the setups. Again, the ice slide, you see them take a few more of those risks and take the tougher line. You also see it as well in this dirt section, how much they're willing to go for it. This is actually, that was almost the furthest we've seen Hetone really ride the walls, and we're seeing that consistently. I mean, Mujiki, they know they're behind. They know they're at threat of being aced, but it all comes down once again to the identity. I mean, we haven't seen everyone hit it clean yet. There's always someone making a mistake, as Pixels seems to be the one falling victim this time around. Hetone will cross the line in first. Kimmy comes across in second. Pixels, though, will get third. The round will go to LaFish, and they are 1 point away. Oh, sorry, no, the round doesn't go. My math is bad. Apologies right there. We get a draw.
Hey, look, you're a Rocket League player. You don't need maths. You just need balls, cars, and boosters, and that's what counts.
Yeah. I legitimately, I was thinking ranked, where you get like a second and a third and a fifth, and you're still good. That's what we're gonna ride with. It was the invisible fifth and sixth driver in the duos. I was calling.
Yeah, it's just the essence of former players here, supporting them and cheering them on. But as we do get started with the next round, Kimmy and Pixels front of the pack. Hetone dueling it out once again. It always seems to... No, that's SQLC. I thought Hetone would be there. Pixels gets a clip and he's going to be sliding wide. SQLC, for the first time, we've been seeing him at the front of the pack. This is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is, super good for Kimmy right now. This is where you'd want to be, but it still is a bit of a battle with SQLC. I mean, the two of them pretty much in each other, and eventually SQLC is going to start pulling ahead, but usually we've been able to see the members on LaFish bring it back through this dirt section. This time, though, it's actually a little bit of a riskier line initially coming from SQLC. Maybe not as fast, but the bump from Kimmy loses a lot of traction, so Mujiki now has a chance to win this round, but no one can get through this identity clean, it feels like. There's always someone making that mistake. Who's going to make it this time around? Coming through at the moment, SQLC. It looks like they got across clean, but they didn't cross the line. Yes, they did. So SQLC goes first, Kimmy second, Pixel third. No, Pixel makes a mistake. It's Hetone who comes across, and Mujiki, they're back within 1 point.
Oh, no. This could be the upset we're looking for. If LaFish get a victory or basically anything that LaFish do, they will get a point for it. That's fine. Unless it's an ace from Mujiki. Mujiki literally have to ace this last round and they will take the entire match. Game over. LaFish are moving to lower bracket. It comes down to this round. Will LaFish be able to hold on, or will Mujiki be able to provide the upset and move forward in that upper bracket?
I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup for sure. Again, LaFish, that they had such a nice lead at the start of this round, but Mujiki has been constantly chipping away, getting more and more consistent through that identity, and now we're seeing SQLC actually leading the charge, but as you mentioned, they kind of need that ace. They kind of need Hetone, who's already 2 seconds down.
It's not going to be handy for SQLC, but keep in mind, if Mujiki get the victory, not the ace, we go into an overtime at 10-10. So it all comes down to these last few corners where we're going through the dirt section. SQLC, if he can hold the lead, it's going to be a draw, but it's going to be LaFish taking the map. It comes down to, can Hetone catch up into third? Will it come down to this identity? We shall see, as we do have Kimmy at the front of the pack. Pixels making his way forward. Both of them know it's at stake as they go into the identity. Pixels hits it cleanly. That's going to be enough for a victory for him.
That's it.
That's the ace, ladies and gentlemen. That is a map for LaFish as we go 3-2 heading into the 6th map.
You had to hold your breath when you saw LaFish take that first jump because both Pixels and Kimmy hit it completely differently. They landing on completely different parts of the pipe, but it shows it doesn't matter where on the pipe you land, it matters how you land on the pipe, and they definitely came through quite cleanly in the end. That one, though, was always supposed to go to LaFish's way. They're the ones who chose that track. This is where things are going to get, you'd think, a little bit more difficult to them. We're going to Gyroscope, and, I mean, we saw a taste of ice slides before, but I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more ice slides now.
Oh, we are going to be seeing all of the ice slides. We've got the long ice slide. We've got the backwards ice slide. We've got an ice bobsled loop in the middle of the map, just to mess with people. But as we do get started with the first round, let's talk a little bit about Gyroscope. Gyroscope is a map known for the ice, basically. As we do get started off this start, you want to be trying to keep a mid line instead of a full outside line. Full outside actually loses a bit of speed and a bit of time, so you want to be able to keep yourself steady there. You got a bit of a dirt section and one small drift as you head into the ice bobsled loop. This is where control really comes into it as we do head into the dirt after a small plastic engine off section. A no brake section, which we haven't seen yet in this TMWT. This is the first no brake section that we see. We have the ice slides where you have two long ice slides and a drop down between one of them, so that's where the challenge is. Onto the dirt where you're going to be lining yourself up with a little bit of a flick to give yourself the gear. And that outside dirt's not going to be handy for Pixels as you do head up into a quarter pipe transition and into the identity, which can be taken a few ways. There's the 360 method, as you're seeing here, by Ketone and Pixels. Very clean. Thank you for the representation. 10 out of 10. Or you could go sideways. If you go sideways, you don't actually get the full backwards booster effect. It just slows you down slightly, but you can also just hit it clean sideways. But first round's going to be a victory for Majiki.
So you said there's two ways to hit it. I'm gonna counter you right there. There's three ways to hit it, just two fast ways to hit it. Because if you're bad like me, you just brute force it. All right, that was my strategy, and it wasn't very good. Either way, though, we are starting our second round right now, as I have left my co-caster speechless on this one.
I was giving it to you, but while we have a free moment, it's good to mention Asia Overdrive actually managed to take out their match 4-1 to Trackmania New India, and Trackmania New India is now the bottom team in the top 8. So that's going to be them in the lower bracket trying to fight their way forward, see if they can get to those lower finals. But right now we have Pixels messing up the ice slide, and that's going to be SQLC and Ketone currently up the front 1 and 2. SQLC going for that outside dirt, risking knowing they could get the ace here. This map could decide it for Majiki if they're able to get this ace here, as we've got them going into the ice spin. Both of them hit it cleanly. Both of them get that ice slide, get that 360. That's an ace for them. Kimmy in third place. Pixels at the back of the pack.
That almost looked like, synchronized swimming almost. They were just in complete parallel with each other through the identity of this track, and that's exactly what you want to see from the team that chose this one in the pick and ban phase. Majiki halfway through putting this one away. LaFish fan club feels like they've got to turn it on right now. They need a good start, and Kimmy bumping the wall already is not it.
I think the nerves are getting to him, knowing that this could be the final map, so you see some small mistakes like that. A bonk here, a clip here and there, a crash here and there. It's got to be that consistency.
Ooh.
And clearly, Hito's got the consistency on the ice bobsled loop, because he's just running away with the lead. Pixel's trying to fight it out there. SQLC in that third position, trying to push his way forward, but Pixel's in the middle. But we've seen Pixels fail the ice slide. Will he be able to hit this cleanly? And it looks like he's got the angle, trying to catch up on Hito. And SQLC, such a clean line. Gets the low dip that he's looking for, right behind Pixels. That little bit of a flick isn't going to be enough as Pixels moves into second place. Kimmy taking an unfortunate clip. He is going to be struggling as he heads into the quarter pipe transition. Hito right there, going for the backwards. Going sideways, gets the spin. Pixels right there as well, gets the flick. SQLC! Almost gets a snipe, 3 milliseconds, but Pixels is able to hold on. That's still a victory for Majiki.
I mean, it's still a victory for Majiki, but that was almost a disaster for LaFish at the end right there. The late lunge, not quite enough. Majiki now, though, match point, 1 ace away from moving it to the winner's bracket semifinal. If they're able to keep it together now, at the moment it is SQLC out in front, but you can see the rest of LaFish right behind, control through this section. Last time we actually saw SQLC kind of lose momentum, and see it happen again. SQLC, for the second round in a row, struggling a little bit on the exit of that ice loop.
The ice loop is dangerous, and as you can tell, it is a spot where you need to have your control there. But as we've seen in other rounds, it's not the decider. It's definitely these ice slides and making sure you hit the identity cleanly. A bad identity is basically GG on this map, as everyone is able to hit it so cleanly and get through it with minimal fuss, that it's going to be, can the fish actually get the points they need, or will it be Majiki able to clean up and take the match away as we get into the slide?
Oh no!
Pixel slides out. Kimmy's going to take a flat respawn. That's an ace! That's an ace, ladies and gentlemen. It goes to Majiki.
What did you say right before the identity? Not pulling it off is pretty much a GG, and we see it right there in effect. Majiki comes on through, and even though hats off to Pixel, went for the brute force strategy, something I approve of at the very end, was not going to be enough to bring him back at Majiki. Again, we each predicted LaFish to win that one out, but based on what we saw, I'm not really willing to call that one an upset. I think Majiki well and truly was the stronger team.
Majiki proved that they were the ones that we shouldn't underestimate. We both underestimated them predicting for the other side, but Majiki able to pull through, moving themselves into the upper brackets, which does mean we will be seeing Pixels and Kimmy for LaFish moving down into the lower bracket, where we've got Juice Racing, Curse Purple, and Trackmania New India all competing down there. Should be some very exciting matches. Any predictions on who you think will be going through from those lower brackets?
I think I'm feeling like, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, I'm liking Curse Purple right now. And I still believe in LaFish. It wasn't the start that they were looking for, but I still believe in them and their ability to bounce back. So hopefully they can make a little bit of a lower bracket run. But to be honest, I'm more interested in these upper brackets right now. I'm more interested in Vobi versus Beach. And I'm more interested in seeing how far Majiki can go, especially against Asia Overdrive, which is going to be a super tough match either way. Because double elimination, all 8 of our teams are still in it.
Indeed, and those fights are going to be strong, but we're going to go on a quick break so you guys can go and grab some water and enjoy some more action. So stick around as we continue with the TMWT Apac Regionals. And we are back with the Trackmania World Tour Apac Regional 1, where we just saw Majiki and LaFish Fan Club duel it out. Majiki able to take it in a 4-2. Quite an interesting match to watch. I was not sure which way it was going to swing.
Yeah, I think the big question that we each had, coming into that one as well was how would SQLC perform, and like would SQLC be able to really keep up with Hitone and push Majiki over the edge? We were each skeptical, and even though I feel that this driver was at times inconsistent, when they were on, and I actually have to kind of give it to SQLC. They were the deciding factor in my eyes, and why they were able to get the win, and why Majiki is still in that upper bracket.
Indeed. And that upper bracket is definitely something to note. We are actually in the pick ban phase, so we'll quickly switch over. As you see, we had a ban of Slowdown, a ban of Slippy Slides, Parkour's number 1, Gyroscope number 2, Flip of Faith, your favorite, number 3, Back and Forth number 4, number 5, Agility Dash, the one that we're seeing once again. It is down to Team Vobi to pick their next one, and that's going to be Freestyle. Aero Pipes number 7. We're going to be seeing Bedge versus Vobi, and Bedge was actually based off seed, not matchmaking. So they actually got a higher seed, and that gave them the spot. Where then, I believe that is Team Kelva and Chaos Cobra, I'm pretty sure.
Bedge, I believe you are right. I'm taking. I trust you. You're the one who I trust when it comes to this one right now. But either way, we are getting, ready to get going for our first map. Let's drop some predictions. Who do you think takes this one? Because I trust you. You are the big brain here. Who's winning?
See, that's the interesting thing that I'm not too sure about, because we do have Kelva and Chaos Cobra. Chaos Cobra actually competed in the OzTM that we ran late last year, and he took out one of the top placings in that. So he's a solid player in his own right, and Kelva we know is a solid player from AOTC. But it's Spark and Kuda Jincrack, so I think they're going to have to take it out, considering how consistent they are on these maps, and the fact that it's them. They're just that consistent.
I feel like they're almost the favorite. I mean, you'd safe to say that they would be the favorites to win this whole thing, right? Coming into this one, Vobi. Yeah. So I'm going to pick Beach to win this. Not because of national pride at all whatsoever, but you know what? I want to see that upset, and I think Beach probably has the best name out of the 8 teams competing. High in-depth detail analysis here.
You really want the bench to win, don't you? You just want to get those emotes going in chat and get bench going off. I still think Vobi's going to take it out. Vobi, as I said, the first Asia Oceanic Trackmania organization officially signed on Spark, who is Kunal, and Kuda Jincrack. First organization to sign them on. So I'm keen to see how they go with their brand new car on round 1. We do see Spark at the front of the match with Kelva right there dueling out in that second position. We've got Kuda in the back of the pack trying to catch up. I love that yellow car, by the way. It's clean.
It's bright. Clean is one. Well, it's not clean when it bonks off the wall right there. But it's definitely bright. I'll give it that much.
It's a statement piece. Like, if you see that car, you're like, oh, that's a Vobi player. I'm screwed. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye. And that's what we're seeing right now with Spark leading at the front of the pack here on Parkour. Parkour is one of those maps where it's all about trying to get your clean transitions, getting as much speed as possible, especially on this identity. This identity is rather cruel because if you don't have the speed in the right angle, you're going to fall off and do what Spark just did, allowing Bedge to get an ace, can I just say. Spark fell off the edge and he's going to be trying to... No, that's not the spawn he wants. Kuda is just coming into the identity now. And he fails it as well. Spark able to recover. Kuda just not having a great time. And that's going to be the first round of Parkour. Ace from Bedge. Spark finishes and Kuda's not.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to straight up say it. Vobi did not look good that first round. We had bumps at the start. We had complete collapses in the identity at the end. And for a team that, we're each kind of touting as a possible favorite to win this entire regional, that's not what you want to see. Granted, this second round already looking a little bit better for Vobi as both of those gold cars are out in front in the lead. And this is a little bit more of what we were expecting.
I mean, this is definitely what we were expecting with those two. Like, yeah, the first round, maybe it was a warm-up. Maybe they were just getting used to their controller, wiping off the sweat, all that. But in the second round, they're just going nuts. You can see the two of them up front. We've got Kelva and Chaos Cobra in the same position. But those two are just running away with it. They've got that team synergy down pat, one behind the other, as they do head into this dirt corner. This dirt corner, if you don't take the outside dirt, you got to pray you have enough speed. All of them hit it cleanly as we do go into the identity. Kuda and Spark right there, 1 and 2. Cobra trying to push his way forward, but they hit it too cleanly. That's an ace for Vobi. It's 3-3.
And we're tied once again. I'm going to go back to that dirt corner, though. You said if you don't have that outside, you have to pray that you're going to make it. I just say give up. I haven't seen anyone get the inside on that dirt corner and actually pull that one off. Like, I'm not sure it's possible. Have you seen anyone do it? Like, is it actually possible?
Yeah, but you got a flat respawn if you don't get the speed. If you have the wrong
respawn. Don't kill the time. Just flat respawn. Just do it early. Just give up your run immediately. just give up.
Just get it out of the way. Go for the flat respawn. Exactly. Know you'll make it. But at the same time...
And question why you went for the inside line to begin with.
That's also true. At the same time, there is a CP in the middle of the identity. So you may have an awful start. But if you know you can't make that second section, take the respawn. Take the super booster. Just get your speed, get your transition, get your points, get your win as Vobi, and just walk away. Walk away.
I mean, Vobi's walking away with this one right now already. A second and a half ahead of Careless Cobra. Granted, it's all down to this identity, and yeah, just like before, Spark hits it clean. We're not going to mention what happened to Kuda right there because that was a little bit of a disaster, and enough for Beej to actually bring this one back for a little bit of a draw.
Beej can put up a fight, and especially with this tie, it's going to be 4-4, and Beej aren't going down without a fight. Beej is such a good emote that everyone should be using Beej whenever they want to go to bed. That's just how it is. At the same time, Beej, do they hold up a candle to Vobi? That's what we need to know.
I mean, so far, you'd have to say, hey, they're doing a pretty good job. Granted, when Vobi isn't making those unforced errors, Vobi has been the stronger team. I mean, we've seen their leads through these first sections. Granted, this time around, Beej actually is somewhat staying within, maybe not enough for first place, so Spark has been looking clean. This ice turn has been an area where players have messed up in the past. Not going to happen right here in the 4th round as Kel is going to start getting back into this one. Kelv able to land the half-pipe jump, but it all comes down to the second half of this track.
The second half is where everything's decided. You could do the rest of the track cleanly, and as stated before, the identity will kill you. As you can see here, Kelva, before the identity, he's gone. Spark is able to be up there with Kuda, but Spark, look how clean that was. Just a 57-5, Kuda in second, Cobra bringing up the pack in third, Kelva able to recover. That's another ace for Vobi.
Yeah, that is a big ace for Vobi as well. 1 ace away from taking this first round, and kind of goes back to what I was trying to get at before. It feels like when Vobi is like on point, when they're hitting themselves well and not making those silly mistakes, they have the faster pace in compared to Beej right now. And it really feels like Beej, they just have to be as consistent as possible and hope Vobi does get those bumps, does make those unforced errors, because that's their best chance to win this.
I would say that it is kind of a mistakes game, but as we saw from the previous match, mistakes allow recovery. We've seen that with Pixels able to recover from 4th to 1st on Aero pipes. So while mistakes here are more painful, all these players have also played this map thanks to the TMWT solo events that we're hosting. So they're used to this map. This is just getting that consistency going, knowing it. So I guess we'll just have to see how it goes.
And we'll have to see, how well they're going to continue moving forward, because right now it's looking like the ace as we get set up for the last run through the identity. If it's hit clean by Vobi, it looks good with Kuda and Spark as they make that final jump. They're going to cross the line 1-2, and Vobi takes the first track.
That is a short round on this. That was only 5 rounds played, but that's the map for Vobi, as Vobi will be going 1-0 early in the series.
Yeah, it's big for Vobi right there, and kind of a real dominant performance. What I'm most impressed, though, was how quickly they brushed off that first round. I mean, the very first run through it, they looked terrible. I mean, one of them didn't even finish. The other one was just, like, bouncing off every way on that identity. But head down, able to bring that momentum right back in their favor as we get ready to go for our second track. It's going to be a Gyroscope.
Gyroscope, this map that we discussed previously with the previous match, actually, where we saw the win for Majiki, round 1, as we do have them all getting started. Kelva getting an early lead over Vobi. Vobi will be able to recover it potentially. I guess we'll just have to see. As we go into the ice bobsled, the cruel ice bobsled. Is that Kuda's just shot ahead? Kelva's shot right behind him. These two are currently dueling it out at the front. Kuda's slightly ahead, but Kelva's trying to make his way forward. As we go into the no-break section, he does release a little bit, but you do need to release for that section as you get into the ice slide. Kuda, by the way, in case you were wondering, is an ice player. So, Kuda able to hit these slides cleanly, no dramas at all, gets the dirt flick he's looking for. That was a 0.18 time gain over Kelva, just on that ice slide. Kuda is just that good of an ice player. And look at that! Look at that 360! He goes through. Spark able to recover as well. That's an ace.
Oh no! And that's their third ace in a row if we go back to that last track as well. So Vobi just in complete control of this one. Eventually Careless Cobra will get themselves across the line as well. 8.5 seconds back from first place. This is a concerning sign for Bedge because Vobi just looks so comfortable and confident. Kuda in particular, as you're calling out, making their way through those big banks. I mean, it really feels like Bedge has their odds stacked against them on this track in particular.
I think it's also intimidating for Bedge knowing who they're going up against. They've obviously got Spark, who is the best player in India. Neil is also registered to play under India, and Neil did take out the last India Trackmania Cup. However, because Neil is currently playing for NCSA, Spark is currently the #1 Indian player competing. So that's got to be intimidating. And then on top of that, you got Kuda on an ice identity map as an ice player. That's just so scary for them.
Yeah, it's what makes Vobi so scary, especially when you take a look at a majority of the tracks actually just throughout this World Tour, like first regional. There's so many different ice tracks as well. So Vobi, there's so many different sort of runs where they're going to be in that one feeling comfortable. And to go back to something I was talking about during that last matchup, as Vobi finds himself getting another ace right here, like the idea of sort of, serve and break points, like getting break points against Vobi would, winning tracks that you aren't drafting for yourself. It feels like it's going to be so difficult for all the other duos in this event, and it's what makes Vobi such a threat to deal with.
Exactly, and having that consistency like Vobi is having, yeah, they had a bad round one. Maybe they were just trying to lull their opponents into a false sense of security. Now they're going full force. They're like, we are not screwing around. We want to take out this regional and show why we were worth picking up with Vobi. And Kuda and Spark, 1 and 2, but that's a double clip. Kelva is able to move into the front. Kelva also a decent ice player, should I mention? I forgot to mention, but he is a good ice player. Look at those slides. Look at those slides. Clean into the first place. Getting a lead over Kuda and Spark on Vobi there. It is still a second separating the two, but I'm guessing we'll just have to see how the identity goes. Kuda and Spark right on top of each other as we head into the identity. Good 360 from Kelva. Kuda tried to go for the sideways strat. That's not enough, but Spark is able to hit the identity cleanly. Gets the snipe and gets first place. That's got to be a draw, and that stops the sweep for Vobi.
Oh, it's maybe a little bit frustrating for Kuda right there. If they had actually played it conservatively and trusted their teammate, would have wound up winning that round. But when you have a 6-point lead and you're still getting draws, it's not the end of the world. Vobi now an ace away from taking our second track after that snipe from Spark, and that's so demoralizing. It has to be for Bedge. Like, you finally have that round going in your favor, and it's just sniped away at the end.
So unfortunate to see, knowing that you could have had it, but then the identity, as previously stated, always decides to track, and that's what makes these maps special. I know that a lot of these smaller communities are actually starting to incorporate identities into their competitions, and I know that we have some plans to do that with a couple of the competitions here in the Asia and Oceania region. So these players are getting used to the weird stuff they're going to have to come up against, because they know more weird stuff is going to be coming up.
And you know what? I love weird stuff. I love creative stuff. And this is, I feel like, one of the more fun tracks. Maybe not the most creative. Either way, the different ways how you can hit it can be creative. As Kelv, well, that wasn't how you wanted to do it. That's the ace for Vobi. That's the second track going in their favor as Vobi continuing a dominating performance here in the winter semifinal.
2-0 maps. That's not a good sign for Bedge. Bedge is going to have to crawl their way back on the next few maps. Pray that they can keep the consistency over Vobi for any chance of staying in the upper bracket.
Yeah, and it's looking pretty good for Vobi right now. I mean, we only have seen one bad round for them, and that was the very first round, you know, when you're still getting warmed up, when you're still kind of getting back in that competitive mindset. But since then, it feels like it's been all Voby. However, Flip of Faith up next for the first time on a stream tonight, and this is one where, well, I'll let you walk it through it while I grind my teeth to dust.
Don't worry, folks. Flip of Faith is a wonderful map. It's got a little bit of an RPG element. So for those who like, you know, weird jumps and tight lines, this is the kind of stuff you want to see. The start's very simple. Just make sure you're taking the apexes onto a sausage drift where you want a smooth transition, heading into a mini identity where you jump up a wall. If you don't have the speed, that's GG. You have to go for that double respawn. And then, straight after it, another flip onto a black platform that's elevated over the section. So you need to make sure that you're getting both flips cleanly. Then we've got a little bit of a normal tech section. You've got a long section here where you then head to a drift where you want to get as close to the water as possible. Onto the dirt where the outside line is actually bad here once again. You want to keep a close line through this reactor down, get as much speed as possible, transition over onto the black platform and onto the grass, where the grass slows you down enough that you can hold full angle and you're okay. You get this one drift in, and then we go to the actual Flip of Faith identity, which got changed in the newest version to be one big flip, where if you fail it like Spark just did, you got to allow your opponents to crawl into first place, and that's going to be Kelva, able to hit the CP and respawn, but that's not enough. Spark will get third, Kelva in fourth, and that's a draw, which is a good sign for Bedge.
I mean, it was a good sign because it came off, again, those sort of unforced errors from Voby at the end of it. But if history is going to repeat itself, round one, Voby doesn't look their strongest. Round two, that's where they start to get their aces once again. So let's see if they're going to kind of repeat what we saw from the first track. Start looks pretty good for them. It's all about how you can keep your speed through this section right here. Everyone looks like they're getting it quite nicely, but one of the unique things about Flip of Faith is how everyone always seems to take different lines on these first couple jumps. Kuda, that's not what you want to see. Wound up a little bit short, now is going to have to be playing comeback for the rest of this round.
It's not a good sign, especially failing a jump like that. That one, he was so close, hit the edge and flipped himself off. So now he is 10 seconds behind the guys up the front. So I'm guessing we'll just have to see how this goes. Heading into the reactor down section, everyone's getting that nice, smooth drift that they're wanting. Careless Cobra takes a bit of a low line, and that is going to be him crashing and having to respawn. It comes down to Spark and Kelva. Will Spark hit this cleanly as he goes up the ramp? He's going to hit it cleanly, and Kelva does not. Spark can run away with this, get himself the first place. It's going to come down to Kelva and Careless Cobra to try and get that draw. Careless Cobra fails again. Kelva, come on, Kelva, gets into the finish. Kuda right there. Actually gets third, but fails to finish. Oh no, Careless Cobra. Will it come down to this? Oh, Kuda able to finish. Cobra.
It's a draw. They had the same time.
Not enough. Not enough. Kuda gets the victory for that one.
How is that determined? Because they had the same time.
It's one of those situations in Trackmania that used to be based on leaderboards. So if you were a C and he was a K, the C would win. In this case, I don't know.
I believe it actually is average speed across the finish is what I think. I think it was speed across the finish is what I was told before, but I'm gonna have to get some confirmation on that one right there, and that's what it sounds like has been confirmed. So yeah, it's speed across the finish. I was not expecting to see a tie today.
I believe it actually comes down to the CP prior's time. So say if you and I were racing, we both finish at the same time, but my CP was faster than yours, I take the win there.
Yeah. Crazy finish on that one. Either way, Voby, you're going to be super happy with that. Kuda now, you know, showing that they can get to this second to last CP quite quickly, is going to come across that one in first and come across the finish line in first. Unfortunately for Voby, Spark super far behind.
Indeed, and that's not going to be good for them. That's going to be another draw. They're not able to expand their lead, but it's going to be 4-3 in Voby's favor. If Voby can pull it together, they'll get the victory and get up 3-0.
We'll see if they're going to be able to bring it back again, though. This is another one of those tracks that we did see Bedge select during the pick and ban phase, so it'd be one of the ones that they'd be more comfortable on. And I do like, you know, when you're going up against one of the favorites, selecting one of the tracks where there's a lot of places where a team can make mistakes and a lot of opportunities to kind of pull off that upset. But unfortunately for Veg, they haven't really been the cleanest either just yet. That's why they're 1 point down. And as we start this next round, a good looking start for Voby. As we move closer to the more technical parts though of this track, can they finally get a consistent 1-2 finish?
I'm hoping they get a 1-2 finish because that will give them that confidence heading into the final round. And that may be the confidence that Veg need to capitalize on any mistakes that come through. But as we do head into the final CP, Spark getting that little bit of a clip, it means that Kuda's able to shoot forward, take the victory for these guys as long as he hits us clean, and that is so clean. Kuda's going to be getting that first place there. Spark not too far behind, but Kelva able to recover.
Yeah, I think Spark had a little bit of a crash at the end right there, and you can see just going through the identity one more time. But with Careless Cobra in Narnia right now, it's not going to matter too much, so it is going to be a round win over to Voby, inching their way closer to match point.
Match point is going to be a big thing for Voby. If they can get out of this map, knowing it's not their pick, they're going to have an easy time on their pick coming up next. So we'll just have to see how the future rounds go on this, as all the players are keeping basically inside each other off the start, which is a good sign. But Careless Cobra shooting ahead, rocking the AOTC car. Mighty fine car if I don't say so myself, as we do head into the second flip. Spark gets the cleanest flip, but Kelva gets the low landing. Cobra and Spark are actually able to duel it out up the front as we jump onto the sausage. It's going to be them keeping pretty close together. It's going to be Spark able to get that lead. Kuda actually in second position right now. Kelva's dropped a little bit behind, and that's not a good sign for Veg.
That said, Careless Cobra is right up in there, so still any little mistake from Voby, and we should be seeing Veg at least, get themselves out of this ace position. Either way, though, lining up for the identity once again. It's very rare we've seen everyone kind of hit it clean. I do expect to see someone make a mistake. The question is, which side is it going to be? Kelv is going to get a nice look at it all. Careless Cobra couldn't make the pass. It will be the ace going to Voby, and they are 1 point away from going to a match point in terms of rounds.
Veg have to double ace in this situation to stop Voby. If Voby get one person across the line at first, GG. It's 3 maps to 0. So it does come down to this final round. Will Voby be able to catch up? Will Veg be able to catch up, or will Voby be able to take this third map and strengthen their lead in this series?
And it's not just first. I'm pretty sure, again, Voby first or second place. If they're able to even steal 1 point kind of off Veg, they'll be pretty happy with that one as well. So let's see if they're going to be able to bring that one back. It's not going to be Spark unless something crazy happens, because they've already had a bit of a crash further back behind. Kuda is the one looking to play spoiler on the Veg parade. Kelv Awesome is going to have to really dig deep to come back at this, but Kuda, who has been the more consistent member, it feels like, on this track thus far, in prime position to push Voby over the edge.
It all comes down to this final section. We saw Spark at the start, still struggling on that starting transition, so he's out. There is no way he's going to be able to recover the entire map in 20 seconds. It literally just comes down to, can Careless Cobra hold this win? And it's looking very close, but that's going to be enough. That's going to be those two, Kuda and Spark, getting the victory on this map and moving to map 4.
Spark not even needed at the end, can just kind of park their car wherever they wish and get ready for the 4th track on this one. A very nice victory for Voby. It was the most they were challenged so far in this semifinal, but with their track selection next, things are going to be looking good for the #1 player out of the country of India right now. And Edamame, reverse sweeps, they're rare. They're very, very rare. I'm not liking Veg's chances.
Veg's chances aren't looking too great right now, so I'm guessing we'll just have to see how this goes. But back and forth. The one map we haven't seen in this series so far. Let's talk a little bit about this wonderful map that starts backwards and goes forwards and backwards and forwards. As the name suggests, this map has some reverse sections and some spins. So as we get started at the start, the players actually start backwards, and they're going to have to get through the CP backwards on a wall ride, going forwards to line themselves up here. That's actually the faster strat instead of trying to get the spin. As they go into this next section, it's a little bit of dirt and grass. They got to line themselves up a little bit wider here to get themselves that flat landing in the water. Onto some plastic. So, plastic bug slides. We saw that on Slippy slides. Funnily enough, same deal. As we go into the dirt, we've got the boosters there, and we've got a tight transition where you've got to jump up onto the ice, get a spin to land yourself forward to get all that speed as you go into the next section with a small drift. You do a very tight jump onto the grass where you're going to be trying to keep that low line to line yourself up into the next section. You then head into basically a 180 drift. That's an interesting clip from Kelva. But basically, you then hit a super booster, start driving backwards, and drive the rest of the map backwards, because why not? Some tight chicanes, a tight uphill corner there. You want to get that low transition into the finish for Roby. That is a starting ace.
By sheer amount of track alone, this would be the largest identity out of all 10 of the tracks we have.
I'd say so. I'd definitely say so.
Yeah, it's the longest. Maybe not the largest in terms of height-wise, but it's definitely the longest right now, which you would think means it has the most, like, sort of room for error right now. It's definitely a track that rewards, though, people who are comfortable driving their cars in both directions. And from what we saw in that first round, yeah, Vopi, they've been feeling pretty comfortable in this one. Not the start they were looking for, though, in this second round, as Kelv actually is the one who's just really taken off with that bit of the lead, although a little bit awkward with the wet plastic slide, actually. I think that was Spark who almost went careening off the side, and yeah, losing time, Spark is falling back.
That's not a good sign for Spark, and as you can see, he's now 8 seconds behind, but Kelva's currently holding the lead comfortably. Kuda running into the side, and that's not going to be a good sign for them. Chaos Cobra and Kelva moving into first and second. All they're going to do is hit the identity cleanly, and that's going to be the ace that they're looking for to stop that, as we do hit the booster into the backwards, and it's going to be these two praying that they can get through this cleanly, backwards through the first S-bend, getting through the chicane. Cobra bonks on the second one. That's not going to be a good sign for them. Cobra one. Oh, that's another clip.
No!
Kuda is going to be getting that second place there. That's going to be a victory if Chaos Cobra can finish towards Spark, but Spark gets the victory. So that's going to be a tie for Bedge and Voby.
That's a situation that I'd like to call quicksand right there, where you make one little mistake, you try to overcorrect, you wind up making another little mistake, you try to overcorrect, and you just wind up finding yourself sinking deeper and deeper and deeper in these mistakes. And unfortunately for Bedge, they had the ace that round, but this time they actually find up losing out. A draw, not the worst scenario, but definitely not what Bedge is looking for. Voby still with the 3-point lead, although right now it is Kelv with the lead on this one. Spark, though, a much more inside line, doesn't really keep the speed coming out of the wet plastic. Kelv still holding on to first with Careless Cobra again, still sitting in that top 3. Maybe this could be Bedge finally winning themselves around. Instead, though, that's going to be Kuda taking the position back into the big grass bank. It is still Kelv out in front. Spark trying to keep that back up. Clean entryway into the identity. Last time, Careless Cobra, it was a careless collapse. This time, can they keep themselves on track? It would be a round win if they do. This is the section where they messed up. This time, they hit it clean up the hill and across the finish with Kelv getting the win. It's going to be the round 2 Bedge.
It's going to be round 2 Bedge, and that's going to be really handy for them to, make sure they're stopping Voby, because at this point, Voby just needs to get an ace and a victory, and that's GG. Voby will move on, and that's not the start that Cobra wants. My apologies. They're similar sounding names, but we got Kelva actually fighting in the front there, moving onto the grass. Spark knows what's at stake, and Spark's going to be fighting to try and get those top positions, as we do have them going into the plastic slide. Both of them messed it up. That's going to be Kuda moving himself into first place just off a simple mistake like that. That is not a good sign for Bedge.
No, I mean, these plastic slides, they've been lethal for a lot of our drivers here out of Apac right now. It's not been the cleanest, unfortunately, but hey, when it comes to ice driving, at least we've been looking good there. Either way, Kuda right now with a comfortable 2-second lead and actually pulling a little bit further away. All Kuda has to do is keep things clean through the identity, and this round should be going Voby's way. That said, Spark 8 seconds back behind Kelv, so more likely we're looking at a draw. Breath has to be held, though, coming through this section. Cobra, I think they've kind of exorcised the demons that were plaguing them before. They're going to have a nice, clean finish across in second. Kelv now just needs to get themselves across in third, which they do, and we have a draw.
I mean, that's going to be handy for Bedge, knowing that they'll still get the point there, but Voby inches closer, knowing that at any moment they can just go ahead and steal the map, steal the match, and move on to that grand final. They're going to be fighting for the hardest spot, knowing that the final is right there within their clasp. But as we do have Kuda right there in the front, Cobra in second, we've got Spark Cobra takes airtime
Oh.
early off the start. That's going to be Kuda and Spark able to get first and second. If they keep this clean, it's GG.
Yeah, I mean, it is essentially GG. It's another situation where you'd have to see two aces, but they're not going to keep it clean. Edamame Smirk's going to go flying off the side, and now has to play comeback yet again. And this is the second time in a row we've seen Spark kind of fall behind and put it on Kuda to be able to try and at least draw them out.
I mean, it's not a good sign that Spark's not able to keep up on this map, but Kuda being able to carry is handy for Vobi. This might be where Kuda's specialty is and where Spark may not have the same skills. So they're utilizing the fact that it is a duos game. It's not just how do I drive, it's how does my teammate drive. Should I be like, can I just lay back and go easy for this round, or should I be pushing every single round and risking those crashes? It's all about that, mentality of, do I just drive quickly or do I play safe?
And with how comfortably Kuda has actually been kind of winning these rounds, it does feel like because of the point lead that we see in favor of Vobi, that they're kind of in a comfortable position where they can keep shooting for these draws. And the pressure is on Bedge to try and take one of these rounds away. If Bedge can get an ace, then everything gets flipped on its head because of the struggles we've been seeing from Spark. But as it stands right now, Spark isn't struggling through these first couple sections. Vobi currently sitting 1-2 through the grass and into the water. This is where we saw Spark struggle before. Do they have the grip this time? No, it's Kuda who actually comes sliding off, and now the pressure is on Spark to try and cross the finish line in first.
If Spark is able to hold himself in first place, that's going to be handy for Vobi. If he slides out and the other two are able to climb, that's going to make it 8-7 in favor of Bedge. And then it's just going to come down to the final rounds of who can have that consistency. And seeing that not everyone's consistent on this map, it is truly a random duel. And Spark gets a bit of a clip, and that's not going to be good for him, but he is still in second place. Cobra knows that he could just go ahead and take it from Spark. He inches closer, knowing what's at stake here. Spark gets through the identity cleanly. Cobra said, "Nanny, so like gets lower speed out of it." That's going to be the snipe he's looking for, and that's going to be the ace for Bedge.
And that's exactly what Bedge needed to get themselves back in this one. Kuda makes the unforced error, and Bedge in position to capitalize on it. They have a lead in a track where we've been seeing more draws than we have yet. Just a couple more of those, and Bedge will be looking clean. Pressure, again, I feel like is going to be on Spark that little bit. Spark has to kind of find a way to get in front of one of these Bedge members, assuming Kuda can get back into their form, and that's a big mistake from Careless Cobra.
That is brutal. And that means Kuda and Spark are currently first and second. And all they got to do is
5 seconds.
Finish first and second. All they have to do is finish the map and don't make mistakes. And they will be moving into the upper bracket grand final. Kuda gets the flip. Nails it. He lands it.
Recovered. Oh my goodness. That was almost the disaster that Bedge needed. But Kuda somehow lands on 4 wheels after rolling and only loses a second to Bedge. Meanwhile, Careless Cobra is falling even further behind. The identity is the only thing in between Vobi and that ace, and they've been relatively clean. Even with a bump or two, they should be okay. Not going to bump this time, though. They're going to come across first and second, and it is Vobi going to the winner's final.
I mean, with a domination like that, there's not much else that needs to be said. Congratulations to Vobi. Moving forward, that means we are going to be seeing the other two, I believe, in the lower bracket final. They did fight well, but Vobi, best in India, and Kuda Jinkrak. I mean, can you say more?
It was a strong performance, and at the end of the day, yes, they had a little blips, a couple bumps, but for the most part, they were by far the more consistent team in that duo, kind of reminding us why Vobi is a favorite to take this event out. But Edamame, I mean, winner's final, a bit more pressure right there. You take that one out, you pretty much are, king of the hill right now in Apac when it comes to the World Tour.
Exactly. And some of the duos that haven't been able to take part, may take part in future regionals. So we may be seeing players we've never seen before, like Winky Face and Chriso, who are both really good Australian pros. They may be competing in future ones. We don't know. It just comes down to whether or not we see them coming up. It's whether they want to keep playing and play these regionals, or whether we're going to be seeing the same 8 playing next time. And if it's the same 8, you got to practice.
I will see more. I have confidence we're going to see more. I feel like it's only going to grow from here. Maybe that's a little bit of a bandwagoning sort of situation right now, but I believe it's only going to grow and get bigger and better. But we've got a winner's final, I believe, around the corner.
I believe we're actually going to lower round 1 first, where the loser of that one gets wiped out entirely. It's see you later. So that will be
even
coming
more
up
dramatic.
in a moment. We'll have the information of that in a moment. So we are actually going to be going into that one in just a few seconds. Any predictions on how you think this match is going to go?
Ooh, I mean, yeah, we haven't even been told. You haven't told me who's even playing yet. So
See,
I don't know. A team
that
is going to win and a team is going to lose. There's my prediction.
See, that is a very good point. I'm going to go for the winning team. I think the winning team's got this. And we are actually watching the... this is just the lower bracket, the lower round one, where it is Team LaFish Fan Club, the beauties we saw before, who lost the first match, against Trackmania New India, which is Nomad and Divyansh. So, we shall see how it goes.
Oh, it's looking pretty good for LaFish Fan Club right now. They're already 3 rounds up, or I should say 3 tracks up on Trackmania New India as we are coming through Aero Pipes once again. And we've seen LaFish already do Aero Pipes before, and it's a little bit sloppy, not gonna lie. They weren't the cleanest on this track, so maybe this could be a beginning of a reverse sweep situation. But right now, it is Kimmy kind of holding the fort and leading the charge with Pixels completely out of this opening round.
It's not a good sign for them, but Nomad, who we haven't really talked about, Nomad's a brilliant New Zealander player, and is currently holding pace with Kimmy as well. Kimmy we've seen with some good consistency there as they go into the identity. Nomad bonks on that, just as I say he was consistent. Kimmy's going to take the first point there. Pixels is not actually doing well on this one, which is surprising after the performance we saw in his match.
It is. Well, I mean, normally when we were watching this one, Pixels was having a little bit of problems towards the tail end of this one onto the identity itself. But this time around, I mean, they're barely going to even make it to the identity. Either way, it's going to end in a draw due to the strong performance out of Kimmy. And for LaFish Fan Club, I mean, their team right now looking to kind of just get that clean sweep over Trackmania New India. And still in it as we start our next round on this one. Everyone nice and tight together, but as we come through these first couple checkpoints, is anyone going to be able to break away? Yeah, both members of LaFish now starting to get a couple car links in front.
Another thing to note as well that we didn't actually talk about, the scoreline's 3-0 right now to LaFish.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
If LaFish can take this out, it's GG. It's a 4-0 sweep, and that's what we're looking for. But it comes down to these next few rounds. Currently, LaFish are holding the lead steady, but if Nomad can just try and stop that, that's the only moves that Trackmania and New India have. Divyansh is nowhere to be seen. 1.2 seconds behind Kimmy, so it all comes down to will Divyansh be able to catch up, and will they fail the identity?
I mean, when we saw LaFish last time on this track, the identity, it felt like every single time one of them was kind of bouncing off at a weird angle or going off to Narnia. We'll see if this time they're able to stick it together through that dirt, though, section. That's where they felt really strong in the past on other sections. Either way, this time over the identity, they're getting through clean. They're confident they have that lead, and Divyansh just a little too far back, tried to risk it, wound up with a sloppy landing, and it's going to be an ace in favor of LaFish Fan Club.
That is not a good sign for Trackmania and New India. Seeing Pixels and Kimmy ace it like that, knowing that Divyansh tried to push and it did not work, it's everything to play for Trackmania and New India. They have to fight out of their minds to catch up at this point. But LaFish are 3 points ahead straight out of the gate. Is it looking like GG already?
I'm not going to go that far, especially with how chaotic, those pipes can get at the end of it all. But it's definitely a strong streak for Trackmania New India. Let's see if they can bring it back. My eyes are on Nomad. You're talking this up. I love New Zealand, and New Zealand as a whole, even if it's through a Trackmania player, can use a little bit of a win right now, considering what has been happening there. So let's see if they can bring this one back. Nomad find some inside lines, not quite going to get it just yet, falling a little bit further back. Pixel still in the lead, and unfortunately, LaFish, despite that rough first round, they're looking very, very confident now.
Kimmy and Pixels 1 and 2 straight behind each other. Noimad's got to fight his way forward to try and take over Kimmy. But both of them are just driving so clean overall. There's not really a mistake you see. Nomad getting a little bit of a clip there. And that's going to be Divyansh in the back there. Pixels getting a clip as well, getting the respawn. Nomad able to hit the identity cleanly. This might deny them the ace. But
oh no!
He just makes it. Pixels is able to get third place, so still gets a victory. That's still 2 points. And their lead extends to 4 points.
Yes, Divyansh still struggling with the identity on this one. We haven't really seen Divyansh hit this one incredibly clean, yet perhaps nerves getting to the player as they slip further and further behind. Again, this is lower bracket, so the loser of this round, assuming it's Trackmania New India, they are out. LaFish 4 points away from getting themselves into the second round of the lower bracket. And as we start off once again, Divyash has the strong start. Could be good to maybe build that confidence back up a little bit, but as we've seen in the past, as soon as these cars start getting that momentum, that's where LaFish starts to pull away.
And LaFish, once again, 1 and 2. We've got Divyansh actually getting the eyesight clean, so he's still in contention. Nomad is nowhere to be seen, probably had a bad crash, 9 seconds behind. He's basically out of the round. Divyansh with another clip. It's going to be Kimmy and Pixels currently playing first and second, playing Tiggy with each other to see who's going to get the first place here, but they are just dueling it out. As long as they can keep close to each other, that's an ace, and that's one step closer to moving forward in the lower bracket.
More like a leap, I would say, because only needing a draw from that point, you'd have to feel very, very safe, especially considering how far behind Trackmania New India is. And well, it's going to come down to the identity, as per usual, and whether or not both members of LaFish can hit it clean. Looking pretty good further up ahead. You can see the two nameplates. Yeah, they're going to be able to cross it. 1-2 finish. That's going to be the ace, or is it? Pixel gets stuck, but so does Divinash. And there was an opening. It doesn't get taken. LaFish 1 point away.
That would have sucked for Divyansh. Seeing Pixels crash as well, knowing I could get this, and I've flipped, and that's him out as well. A draw is enough for LaFish at this point. All they got to do is Trackmania New India need 3 aces in a row, and they will be able to claim the map back. But who knows what's going to happen in this match? It's going to be a close start for everyone here. Any thoughts on this map in general and how we've seen the performances today?
I'm hoping that, people get some practice in a little bit more moving forward, because it really feels like this is one of the tracks where the identity has really been throwing a lot of these drivers through a loop. Similar actually to Agility Dash and what we saw before and how chaotic that one has been. And I've been a little bit surprised with how much, they've been struggling, but I feel like a lot of it has been coming from risks, because it's never really been the leader we've been seeing struggling going into the pipes. It's always whoever is in second or in third that seems to be having little hiccups at that stage of the track. So I don't know, maybe willing to take things a little bit more conservatively will go a long way for some of these drivers. But as it stands right now at Amame, we're not just looking at, a LaFish win. We're looking at a LaFish ace once again.
We're looking at a LaFish ace, and we do actually have the results from the other match with Majuki and Asia Overdrive. Majuki 4-0'd them. And that's a mistake from Pixels, but that's not going to be enough.
Second place. See, it's whoever's in second place makes the mistake. Oh, Pixels was behind Kimmy.
Pixels. Okay, there we go. They take the victory, and that's going to be LaFish Fan Club. Moving forward in the lower bracket, which means we do have to say goodbye. Also, sorry, let's go look at the victors. We've got to celebrate the fact that LaFish take this out. Kimmy and Pixels. Moving forward, we do say goodbye to Trackmania New India. They have been eliminated. Divyansh and Nomad putting up a strong fight. But is it enough? Unfortunately, on this occasion, no.
I mean, strong is relative, based on the scoreline we saw at the end. But we don't know how the other 3 tracks went. Maybe they were a little bit more competitive right there. But at the end of the day, though, they were able to keep their opponents on their toes at times. LaFish, though, just too confident in everything leading up to the pipes, where more often than not, they had to play it conservatively through and get themselves across. And I mean, they're still fighting. They're still in the running. But as you mentioned before, we saw a couple of results come in. And when we come back, we're going to be staying in the... Are we staying in that lower bracket? Are we going to the upper bracket?
I believe we are moving to the upper bracket next. I believe it's the upper semis that we're going to be watching next. But that will be in a few minutes, so make sure you grab your water, go to the bathroom, everything you need to, folks. But stick around for the TMWT Apac Regional 1. And we are back with the Trackmania World Tour Apac Regional 1, where we're going to be watching the upper final. I did say semis, that is my mistake, folks. Upper final between Vobi and Mujiki. Mujiki, we've seen some interesting performance from, especially in their first match, where they were able to take the win away from
Le Fish.
Le Fish, that's right. And Vobi, we saw a clean sweep on. How do you think this match is going to go?
From what we've seen from both of them, because we've seen both of these teams, these duos, I should say, win already. But even in, Mujiki's victory, they had a lot more shaky moments than what we saw to Vobi. Vobi had maybe 2 bad rounds in that entire upper bracket semifinal that we were able to catch. So I feel like they're still going to be the favorites moving forwards. That said, Mujiki also 4-0 against Asia Overdrive in the other upper semi, the one that we didn't catch on stream. So momentum could be in their favor as well. And maybe they've cleaned up some of their demons moving forwards. But let's be real. I feel like Vobi, they're the favorites for a reason. We saw why in that last round, and I'm kind of banking on them to be the first team to punch their ticket into day 2.
Vobi are one of those teams that we've seen a lot of performances, especially from Kuda and Spark. But we haven't seen a lot of Hetone and SQLN. So I think it's kind of evenly matched, but I do think it's going to go in favor of Vobi. As we do get started with the pick ban here. Let's see. Ban of Flip of Faith. Easy ban for the Russians. And Slippy Slide's ban from Vobi.
That's interesting because we've already seen that, that Russian side, they struggled on Slippy Slides. They didn't really handle that one that well. And, well, I guess maybe that could be why it got banned away. Either way, though, we're going to be opening with Gyroscope. So, faith in the ice, like we were talking before. That's where we're going to be heading. Followed that, it'll be slow down once again, and then some parkour.
That's number 3. Let's see what the Russians are going to be picking. And it's going to be Agility Dash once again, the one we all know and love, the identity that we've seen some good results from Mujiki there. As we pick number 5, it's going to be either Aero Pipes, Freestyle, Reps, or Back and Forth. And it's going to be Back and Forth. They want the reverse stuff again. They want to get redemption for their performance in the previous one.
We'll see. We haven't seen Reps. Reps is the only track we have not actually seen on stream yet, I'm pretty sure. And again, it loses out in a 50-50 to the RNG. Reps says, why does the random pick not like Reps?
I don't know. Why does the random pick not like Reps? That might be something we need to discuss with the admins because we need to see more Reps. Reps is one of those maps that it's just great to watch at any level.
Yeah, especially lower levels. I think more of that. I'm not saying I want to watch more of it at silver level. I want to see more people crash, but that's because I'm an agent of chaos. I don't want to see too many crashes on this one, though, because Gyroscope realistically should be one of the cleaner ones. Again, you've got the big ice slide. You have that nice, 360 feature at the end, should you opt to go for it. But realistically, Edamame, you know this track better than I.
I have played this map, and this is definitely a map. But that being said, this map for Mujiki was that ace that ended the run for Team... what was it? Team...
The one we just saw, New India?
No. The first match.
Yeah. The Leaf.
Fish. The Fish.
Fish Leaf.
Yeah,
Fish
the
Leaf.
Fish. Fish Leaf. Team Le Fish lost the ace on that one, and Mujiki were able to ace and take out that map. So... that's definitely something to watch out for, knowing that both of these teams have good performances on this map. I have no idea which way it's going to swing on Gyroscope especially, but let's see how we go heading into round 1.
Yeah, as we are getting ourselves kind of ready to get started. 2-1, and here we go. Opening run through on Gyroscope once again as we do head straight into it. Those bright gold cars by Vobi, looking for the gold medal in a sense. I'm super curious to see how this one will play out, though, especially when we get to that feature, because Vobi, they were so consistent on that feature back in that upper semifinal.
The identity on this map is definitely one of those things. SQLC? SQLC. Right. Apparently he stalled out, maybe a controller disconnect. Could be a technical difficulty, but we don't know. All we know is Kuda and Spark, first and second right now, fighting their way, like keeping themselves in the front of the pack. We got Hetone trying to catch up there, but there is a margin between these guys. Both of them getting this dirt part cleanly as they go into the quarter pipe transition. It's going to come down to that identity. Let's see if they can both hit it cleanly. 1, 2, get the spin, sparks off the side. Heatone making the cross cleanly. And that's going to be a victory in favor of Voby, but not by much.
Not by much, and I mean, had Spark been able to keep it clean, realistically, it should have been the ace, and I don't know, that entire round feels weird. You have Spark making unforced error, which is not something you'd expect to see. SQLC just stalled, which is something you pretty much never see, so first round jitters for both these teams. Let's write that one off. Let's see things continuing moving forward. Voby, though, they still have that 1-point lead, and I guess, you know, they're going to want to remember that round win regardless.
I just got word from the officials that SQLC just had a bad line and respawn. So his respawn wasn't great. He basically had to flat respawn it, and he wasn't ready for that, and so that's why it looked kind of odd. But he's back in the running. He's in that 4th position right now, pushing his way forward. Heatone currently in front. But you see Spark right there trying to fight it out. Kuda into the ice slide, hitting it cleanly. Spark taking a really low, risky line, knowing he can get the inside speed. And that's enough to push past Kuda, but Kuda has the better exit. So 1 and 2 right there. SQLC fighting it. Heatone in the back. He's basically gone for the time being. As we do head into the identity, it's going to be Kuda lining himself up, spins himself. Both of them get it cleanly. Gets the better lineup. 1, 2. That's an ace for Voby.
Yeah, and that was what we expected to see in the first round. We actually got it coming through quite cleanly right here in the second round. Eventually, Heatone will make their way across. So SQLC and Heatone are each able to finish. And when SQLC doesn't hit those early unforced errors, you can see actually right up in there with it, only about, you know, just under 4/10 behind 3.8, I believe it was. So we'll see if they're going to be able to keep it up and maybe even pull off a little bit of a cheeky beaky upset. As it stands, starting off once again, Spark is going to be the one leading the charge as we go through the ice loop, and that's where we see Voby so comfortable, so confident. Kuda in particular always makes up so much time when getting inverted on ice.
And Kuda getting that speed there, but not getting that speed there. He did get a clip, and that's him slowing right down. He does get through the ice cleanly, and the ice is definitely his specialty, but having crashes in other segments is not going to be helping him there. And SQLC gets that push he needs, moves himself into first place with Heatone there. First and second, these two up the front, it's still anyone's game as we do head to the identity. Both of them get the spin cleanly. 1 and 2, Kuda gets the better slide. It's got to be close, but it's not enough. That's an ace for Majiki.
Yeah, that is a big ace for Majiki, who are able to bring it back, and that's going to feel good right there. Voby, it wasn't even really that many unforced errors. It was just Majiki finally, you know, hitting their lines and just being able to get some clean rounds in, and now back within 1. Pressure should be on that Voby side. The start, though, looking pretty good, actually, for SQLC, who has been getting stronger and stronger with each passing round, but as per usual, as soon as we get through that ice loop, it is Voby who finds their way back in first.
That's going to be handy for Voby being there. Currently in the lead. Spark's going to fight it out. SQLC gets the clip. Spark with so much speed into that CP. He's not screwing around anymore. He wants to make sure he gets that win. Heatone is going to be trying to fight and stop that ace. But with a slide ending like that, that's not going to be handy for him. He's going to be moving a second behind. We still got the identity coming up, so we'll see how that goes with Spark and Kuda up the front, first and second. Spark goes into the spin, hits it cleanly. Kuda on the edge. Heatone able to hit it cleanly, though. That's not going to be an ace, but that is definitely going to be a victory there, with Kuda bringing in third place. SQLC now hitting the identity.
Yeah, so Voby bounces back after getting ace last round with a little bit of a victory for themselves, but more importantly, they're kind of pushing that lead to a track point. An ace in their favor will bring this one home, and it's something that we saw them get done in the second round, so we know it's within their grasp. It's whether or not they can keep it clean. Starting off the round, though, SQLC actually is the one who looks to be getting that hot start already out in front by about a car's length. Will they finally be able to hold it over the loop, though? That's what I really want to see coming from SQLC, and again, it's just a little bit more consistent from Voby. A little bit of a bouncy landing does not matter. They recover just fine, and Voby still holds on to that 1-2.
That 1-2 is going to be really handy for them. As long as they can hold this, it's going to be their map, and they're going to be in the lead heading into the second map. So they're going to be fighting as hard as possible to try and get that ace. SQLC knowing what's at stake here. Unfortunately, did not get the best slide, but Hetone is now trying to fight his way forward. We've seen Kuda fail the identity. We've seen Spark fail the identity. Will either of them do it? Kuda gets the slide cleanly, lines himself out right. That's what he needs. Spark, 1-2. Right there. There's your race, and there's map 1 to Voby.
Yeah, Voby's going to be very happy with that one right there. Again, a little bit of a slip up in the middle, but for the most part, they were in control outside of that ace that got away from them on the third round. But, I mean, it was their selection, and for, the second time we've seen Voby on this map, they're just as dominant as they were before. Definitely playing beneficiaries of any maps with the ice on it. But as we get ready for our next one, we're going back to Slowdown. And actually, I say back to, I believe this is the first time we're also seeing Slowdown on stream tonight.
No, we've seen Slowdown. Slowdown
we saw it at the very start. That's right.
Yeah,
it was the very, very start.
Very start where we saw, I think that was
long ago.
I think it was a 10-3 in that match. It wasn't a good scoreline, I know that much, because that was when we first saw Majiki playing with LaFish, and LaFish had like a decent run for a while, and then Majiki just pulled back and got that victory on that round. So we'll see how they go on this one.
Yeah, well, hopefully, we do get a little bit closer of a battle this time around, because we don't really want to see, those kinds of score lines every single time as it stands, though. I still think Voby is going to be favored, even though Majiki may have picked this one, and we're already into our first round right now. Majiki, though, looking pretty good. They've got that 1-2.
They look like they've got that 1-2 on this one, but Voby might just be getting comfortable. Maybe they haven't had to play this map much. So the first round, we always say, is just like the warm-up. Even though there are points at stake, it's definitely just the warm-up. As we do get into the identity, though, it is going to be Hetone flying out. Spark right there, trying to get that first position. Kuda is right there as well, trying to make sure they get an ace. It's going to be Kuda making a mistake, SQLC in second, Hetone in third. And that's going to be a draw.
That's going to be a big draw in favor right there of both of those teams, because that's what draws are. You don't really favor one side or the other unless you didn't choose the map, in which case I'd say, it's a victory for Voby. Either way, with one draw in the books, we'll see if Majiki can bring it back. I'm a little bit surprised Majiki was kind of let that last one slip as well at Amame, because they looked so strong through those first couple sections.
I tell you what, they were doing well in the first section, so they seem to have that strength there. But keep in mind, the other two here have actually been training offline. They haven't been registering times. They've been falsifying runs just to make sure that they don't have time submitted. So the stats that I have on Spark and Kuda are actually incorrect. They've got PBs past what I know. So they've been training on this map, and we weren't even aware of it.
There's always some teams that do that. There's always, in fact, I'm pretty sure every team does that at this upper level as well. It's what kind of always makes it fun to see what sort of surprise sort of strats might come out right now. Going through the identity of this last one, though, it's looking like the Majiki 1-2 that they weren't able to get down pat last time. This time they're able to cross that finish line, and it's an ace for the team in red.
Indeed, it is an ace for Majiki. Majiki is one of those teams that we didn't see do well on the last map. Obviously, Voby took that out. But Majiki picked this, so they're comfortable on it. They know what's going on, and they're ready to play. As you see, SQLC, that start just speedy. Kuda gets a little bit of a clip, but Spark's able to keep up. And SQLC, as long as he can hold the lead over Kuda and Spark, that's going to be enough to stop any aces and potentially even get victories there.
Yeah, which would be a pretty massive sort of flip back round, and it would actually give us, an upper bracket final that would be worthy of this match, because again, what's at stake right here, you win this one, not only are you going to be playing again tomorrow, you secured that, you can relax for the rest of the evening, but you're also already in the grand final as well, which is realistically more what they are after. It's all about getting those TMWT points, at least 5, just by making it to that top 2, and Majiki would love to get that. It's going to be SQLC, not quite able to get their Spark, snipes it away, 2/100ths of a second.
That is so close, and that's going to be handy to get that draw going. And as you did mention, there is a lot on the line here. Getting this victory in this match guarantees you a top 2 spot. That's 5 guaranteed points for the leaderboards, and that's going to give you a significant margin over the rest of the pack. A lot of these guys, because we have 8, we'll be getting 2 at a minimum. 5 points just for winning this match. They know what's at stake.
Yeah, with the potential to get even more tomorrow as well. So definitely where you want to be. And for Mizuki, I mean, this is their chance to kind of like put Vobi a little bit on notice, saying like, hey, guess what? We have your number. We know what tracks we can beat you at, assuming they would also be able to get back through that lower bracket final as well, which, might I add, will also be played tomorrow. The lower bracket semifinal will be after this one, but right now, it's actually going back in Vobi's favor. Spark, after sniping that last round, is looking pretty good. This one already a half a second up.
That's very handy for him, as he knows that if he can keep this consistency and Kuda can keep third, that's a victory in their favor, and that's going to shrink the margin between the two. 3 points currently, but Kuda fails the identity, and that makes a mistake. I should apologize. That's a draw for the two. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, not a draw, unfortunately. Like, Kuda just hasn't really been hitting this this track as consistently as they have some of the other ones in the past. Maybe they'll be able to bring it back right now, though. Kuda definitely seems to be the driver to watch on this Vobi side if we're going to see them as a duo come back in this, because Spark has been hitting those runs. Meanwhile, Mizuki, they are just so in sync when it comes to this track in particular. They've kind of been going back and forth between the pair. There's a little bit of the sample of the identity through those earlier bump sections right now as we keep things going. I have to admit, you know, this is one of the few sort of tracks where we've seen where all four drivers have been kind of getting it through consistent. Like, there's very few unforced errors.
Especially on that last round where I thought that there was a mistake from Kuda there. It wasn't even that. It was that SQLC. I was about to say he drove that really well, but between Spark failing the CP and those two going into space, I mean, Hito could just run away with this. That's the first for him. Kuda in second, SQLC in third. That's a victory for Mizuki. What happened?
Unforced errors, unfortunately, come back to bite us all, and this time Spark was the one who could really ate it, going through the identity right there. A bit unfortunate for Vobi, but Mizuki now on track point. If they can win this round, well, it's going to be theirs. Even a draw would just put them 1 point away, and that was a bumpy start from Spark, I believe, and that's going to be good for Mizuki.
That's a good sign for Mizuki, but Kuda's still in the fight, and Kuda is someone to watch out for on this map. Kuda's been getting first and seconds, so they know that they need to keep that consistency going, as Kuda is currently holding the lead. Not too far off, we got Hito trying to duel it as well. And SQLC is in that third position. Spark nowhere to be seen. Hito and Kuda just dueling it out. If Hito can get this victory, it's going to be handy, and that's going to give them the 2 points they need, especially if Kuda cannot keep the pace.
Well, we'll see as we going through the identity at the very end right now. Kuda is actually gaining pace, although it looks like Hiton was able to get back on that inside, coming over that last bump. Does Kuda have it? Not quite. It goes to Mizuki, and they win the track.
Slow down was their pick, and they proved why it was a good pick. That is 1-1, and we go into the third map, which I believe was Agility Dash.
It was, so we get to go back to that fun finale. But I think Agility Dash might be my favorite feature to watch, and it should be everyone's favorite feature to watch because it is so chaotic, especially when you have three drivers coming in there, 3 or 4 drivers sometimes going in there, risking it on their mind. Cars are just bouncing and flying everywhere.
It's parkour, not Agility Dash. Agility Dash is coming.
Well,
we got too excited for Agility Dash. We want to see how they go.
Build me up. You built me up, and then you tore me down. But hey, parkour has similar. It's a similar identity, maybe not as dramatic, but again, it's, you know, fast jumps, narrow landings. It's close enough.
It's basically the same thing, except one's plastic and the other one's platforms. But this track, we've definitely seen some interesting runs, and as previously stated, Spark and Kuda have had the experience on this map thanks to the solo events, and they've both done really well in those events. So heading into this map, they do have the upper hand, and this was their pick, I believe. So we're just going to have to see how they do heading into the transition here. Kuda lost a little bit of speed, but that's from the ice slide as they go across 1 and 2 right behind Hito and SQLC trying to catch up. But it's a margin. You can see the gap as the gap gets even bigger between the two, especially with a landing like that. It's going to be 1.4 seconds. The margin keeps expanding. Kuda makes a mistake, and Spark's able to keep going. Hito is going to be moving to that second position. Kuda makes the jump. SQLC's right behind Kuda. This could be a 1, 2, 3, 4. in stripes. Oh no!
Actually a mistake!
It's a mistake!
Kuda lost it! Oh, Kuda, a disaster at the end right there, and Mizuki, they're going to be happy to walk away with a draw on that one because it looked like Vobi was just absolutely going to run away with it.
We thought Vobi was going to run away with it, but that mistake from Kuda was fatal, and that's going to put him at a draw to start with. That's not going to be a good position. Knowing that they could have had the round, Kuda would be just so angry.
Yeah, I mean, that is a tough pill to swallow, but again, hey, you said it last round, and I'm going to say it again, for this track as well. The first round is the warm-up one, and you can't lose on the first track, and if we learn anything, especially from watching Vobi before last time we saw them on this track as well, they struggled that first round, and then they were able to bounce it back, so I'm definitely not counting Vobi out, not by any stretch on this one, and Kuda with something to prove already nearly a second up on second place.
SQLC did make a slight clip on the side of the road, put his wheel off, and that's going to slow him down. That allowed Spark to catch up. And with that better landing, Spark and Kuda 1 and 2, all they got to do is get this final jump correctly. And just like that, that's the ace they were looking for last round.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is. See, first round's the warm-up round. Second round, they're able to piece it together and push it through. And this is much more the Vobi we were sort of expecting to see here on parkour. So looking good moving forwards right now. The pressure's going to be on Mizuki. They're going to have to try to disrupt it. You said before there was that little bit of a clip that we saw, which kind of cost Mizuki. It kind of cost SQLC in the past. Will they be able to kind of straighten things out moving forward in this one? Or will Vobi continue to run away with it? I just feel like on this track in particular, Vobi does feel, even though they messed up that first round, this almost feels like the largest gap they have over a lot of the other duos within the Apac region.
I think that's one of the things to note about Vobi, especially doing so well in the first round. When they first played the track and getting that really nice run that they had, they got comfortable on it. And now that they're back, they're just like, hey, we're not here to play. First and second, Spark and Kuda right there. As long as they can hit the identity clean and actually hit that ending, that's going to be another ace for them. And that's going to put them 6 points ahead of Mizuki.
Yeah, and more importantly, it's also going to possibly put them on match point as well. They each stick the landing, so it will be another ace. And yeah, they're on track point. Another one of those, and it's going to be 4 rounds winning it out. And I know it's not perfect because it's not, 4 aces in a row, but it's still, possibly the same amount of rounds as if it was 4 aces in a row.
I mean, that's why we say the first round's always a warm-up. Even if you get a tie on the first round, someone's getting points, and then it's just 3 aces after that. Will Vobi be able to pull off the triple ace here? We will have to see. With that clip, SQLC is not going to have a good time with that. Hetone's the only one in the running able to keep it going. But these two just have to drive cleanly and just pray that they make it. And as we go into the ice drop, it's going to be both cars basically inside each other, keeping similar lines, and it's like synchronized swimming that you're watching.
Yep.
Both of them clean slide, basically perfect as they go over the loop. Almost the exact same jump, just it's majestic.
Especially with those like bright golden cars, you could just like replace those with the golden bathers, and you would be getting an Olympic performance right now as we're watching them ride that outside line over the jumps once again into the final feature. SQLC and Hitone so far back, although where did Kuda go? They were next to each other. We look away for a brief moment, and Kuda all of a sudden in a little bit of struggle street. They don't make the jump, and unfortunately we don't get the triple ace.
It's unfortunate for them. They still get the victory there. That's still going to be enough points that all I need to do is just get someone up in the lead. But it was one of those moments where if we started playing Blue Danube and just had the la da 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 dun, suddenly you have a record scratch because Kuda just messed that up. And that's all the story wrote. And we'll just have to see how this next round goes.
I lost my frames. My frames came back, and now they're gone again. Goodbye, frames.
Goodbye.
It was nice while it lasted. Either way, Spark right now out in front on this one, just going toe-to-toe, it looks like, with Hitone, but in the end, Spark still kind of just out there. The more important thing, though, is as long as anyone from Vobi can kind of stay out in front, things are going to be going for them. Mizuki, they need the ace. They need to risk it, and whether or not they accidentally throw it away, we will see. This is the first moment where we could see that mistake. It's not going to come from SQLC. Hitone right behind, though, actually dropping further back. It looks like as Kuda was able to get further in front. It's all on Spark, though. If they can keep it together over the jumps through the feature, or through the identity, I should say, it will be theirs.
We'll just have to see how it goes. First jump seems clean. Second jump seems clean. Onto the transition. That's not clean. That is not what he was looking for. 1 and 2 go to Mijuki. That's an ace for them.
Oh boy, Mijuki starting to bring it back. Vobi kind of throwing it away. There's still a lot of work to be done for Mijuki. Like, they still need to get 2 more aces in a row. However, maybe a little bit of a wake-up call for that Vobi side. That is not going to be the cakewalk that they set themselves up for before.
I mean, that's not a good sign for them, but hey, we'll just say that's all warm-ups just for this round to make sure they get it clean, synchronized swimming style. As 1 and 2 right now, SQLC and Hetone trying to find it out there as we do have them pushing forward. Oh, SQLC gets a better exit on the slide, and that's going to be Kuda in 3rd position. Still half the track to play, but we'll see how. And that's there we go.
They're not swimmers. They're not swimmers. Ever since we started with this synchronized swimming metaphor, it's just been all downhill for Vobi. These are Trackmania players. They don't. Maybe they swim, you know, as a hobby, maybe a little bit for exercise, but definitely not at a professional level. And sorry to be making those assumptions, but it's just been a disaster, just like it was for SQLC right there, right off the wall. Spark will come across the finish line, and Vobi gets it done.
Kuda just wants to clean it up, gets himself the ace, and that's going to be the second map to Vobi. 2-1 in their favor. Honestly, that is just parkour in a nutshell.
Yep.
Everything goes right until someone clips, and then someone clips, and then someone fails the identity, and one person just makes it to the end, no dramas. But that is going to be in Vobi's favor, heading into map 4, which should be Agility Dash now.
Yeah, give me my agility dash. But more importantly, as soon as we dump that synchronized swimming metaphor, they're back on top. They're getting those aces again. So now we know how to make things interesting, all right? We just start talking synchronized swimming, and all of a sudden Mijuki will come back in. It's good to have that in our back pocket. Let's go to Agility Dash. Let's go to one of the most nefarious identities out there. And it was a track selected by Mijuki as well. We should be expecting them to equalize here.
Look, it's definitely one of those things where I wish that when I could cast, I could have a soundboard. Just to have things like the record scratches and like achievements where it's like a ta-da sort of thing.
Cartoon Slippy noises.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the bonk sound effect. Just have them ready on a button. But it's one of those moments that just makes people laugh when things like that happen. But we are here for the good Trackmania, and as we get started on round 1, we hope to see some good Trackmania with all the players getting some good pace. Hetone actually getting a relatively big slowdown off that and clipping the side of the road, and he is crashing, and he may need to recover that. That's not a good start.
That's not a good start at all, especially with SQLC about a car length or 2 behind both Vobi members right now, and they are keeping up those gears all the way through that dirt section. Take a bit of a breath, engine off, right back on as we make our way through. Clean landing from both members of Vobi as we're getting closer to that dreaded identity. That's a tight inside line from SQLC, trying to fight back, but maybe bit off a little bit too much. You can see that momentum throwing him back into 3rd.
He did try to push, but it wasn't enough. He did get that little bit of an extra gap closer, but that's not going to be enough, especially with Park and Kuda keeping clean. But SQLC on this drift is actually going to get the inside line, and that's going to push him into 2nd place, but Kuda has a lot more speed on that section. He's going to be pushing through as we get into that uphill drift.
But none of this matters because it's all about, you know, this section right here and the one following it. This track is all about that identity. Last time we were here, it flipped every single time. So now is where things get spicy. Now we can see, can Vobi hold on to that 1-2? Spark currently has first, Kuda right behind. And they look so clean, so in control through this, unlike SQLC, who actually misses the finish. So the ace will go to Vobi.
I mean, even if he did miss the finish, it wouldn't have made a difference. Kuda was in the finish by the time SQLC was getting ready for it, but didn't help at all. He was off the track, and that's 3 points to Vobi. That's an early lead that's going to be handy for them.
Yeah, especially on a track which can be as, you know, temperamental and chaotic as this one. To get that early ace, it's going to be strong for them. But what impressed me the most, because, again, we saw Mizuki kind of take on, you know, the fish before here, and it was very coin flip in the end where there was cars bouncing and flying everywhere. This is the first time we've really seen Vobi on this track, and they hit that one so much more confidently, so much more in control than what we've seen in the past. I'm actually very worried for Mizuki.
It's one of those moments where I actually want to switch onto Cam for Spark or Kuda just to see how clean they hit it, because if they can hit a clean run like that, I would love to see it so I can know what to do to get my 120 time out of the mud. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. So maybe we will keep it on that. At the moment, though, we're kind of watching SQLC. Gives us the best view of that fight for first between Spark and Hitome as we're making our way ever closer to the feature. Although I do have to admit, like, this turn right here, I think, can throw some people off, but everyone gets through quite cleanly this time around. Spark trying to get even tighter on that inside, and actually, that's going to give them temporarily the lead, although getting airborne is going to cost them first place as we get ready to go into the identity. 3 cars all grouped together. Kuda just about a second and a half back.
Second and a half back, and that's not going to be handy considering 1 and 2, Hitome and SQLC. Kuda gets that bonk, but it doesn't even matter. That's going to be 1-2 for Mizuki. There's the 3 points they're looking for. That was unfortunate.
Okay, so you said you wanted to watch Kuda going into that one to improve your line. Do you think did that teach you enough?
It taught me what not to do in that section, and that's fall off the side.
Okay, yeah, no, important. You know what? I wouldn't have known that had I not seen it. So I'm learning at the very least. So, Kuda, another little mistake right there. A rough landing, a wheel off, and a little bit of time lost as well. This is another good start for the Mizuki side.
It's definitely a good start for Mizuki there, being in second and third, but Spark's just got that lead right now, and as long as he can hold it, it's going to be handy for him. Hitome right behind, trying to push his way forward. On that plastic, especially trying to keep the gear and stuff, they're going for that inside line to try and, keep as much gear as possible in that section. But the gear isn't necessarily everything if you don't have that clean line. And as you saw, SQLC got that clean line and kept the gear, but Hitome nearly lost the gear on that section.
Yeah, and that's just allowed Spark actually to kind of pull further and further away. Kuda as well has been able to catch up, as mentioned before, with SQLC making that mistake now in that third position. So Vobi really looking to get themselves that 1-point lead. Granted, still have to get ever closer to the feature. And that was a rough exit of a turn for Spark. So Hitome actually is going to wind up back in that first position. Let's see how well they can get through the actual agility dash port, this identity. Nice landings, clean. Well, that one was a little bumpy, but it's not going to matter. Hitome comes across in first. Kuda second. Spark actually looks to be falling a little bit further back right now. SQLC got back in front of them, and Vobi gave that round away.
That was unfortunate for Spark. He did fail the identity, and that cost him the round, putting Mizuki in the lead by 1, but it's still not over yet. We've seen a very close fight on this, and anyone could just hit that identity, so it's coming down to who will be the one to hit the identity and have his teammate follow right behind.
We will see again. It always comes down to that identity, who's going to be able to hit the most consistently. And I have to admit, actually, this start so far has been the most consistent round yet. Everyone's sticking together, it feels like, in a nice tight bunch. Yes, Vobi is, half a car length ahead, but that's not going to mean much in the grand scheme of things till we get to the tail end of it all. I think that was SQLC who may have dropped a little further back than they would like, still within 3/10, however, as we get to the second half of the track.
The second half of the track is where everything goes off. Obviously, you've got this section where the speed slide can be handy, but I've seen a lot of people avoid that slide, and after driving the map, I'm not sure if the speed slide is actually faster, but knowing that some people go for it, some people don't, it does create that division of if you hit the speed slide correctly, it might give you the extra speed you need for the next section, as you can see with Spark. But Spark didn't hit the speed slide, he just hit it clean, so I don't know.
Well, I do know that Kuda, I think, had a little bit of a bonk situation because they've dropped about nearly 2 seconds back right now, putting the pressure on Spark to try and hold that line. But SQLC just full sending it in the setup for the identity. Now, if they can get it clean, this is going to be another round possibly going Mizuki's way. And that's a big mistake from Spark. And now it almost was an ace, except Hitome falls off. So Kuda, who was 2 seconds back, winds up coming across in second place. It's not going to be enough to save the round. Mizuki puts it away with a 1-3 finish.
With an ace, Mizuki will take this map, but I don't know if they're going to have the ace on this one, judging from the fact that we've only seen 2 aces, one in the first round, one in the second round. So we'll just have to see how this next round goes. Mizuki right there, ready to take the map away from Vobi, keeping it a close fight, but anything could happen in these last few rounds.
Yeah, and again, with this track, it feels like anything can and possibly will happen. Some of these unforced errors have come out at some strange points as well. At the moment, though, Spark, as what has been per usual, super fast through these first couple checkpoints. And after getting through the engine off section, now with this slide down, this is where we've seen SQC, or SQLC, I should say, start to bring it back and start to kind of take a few more risks. Speaking of it, Hitone, a risky line right there, actually kind of cut into that gap of third place. Spark, though, still out in front as we're about to hit the more technical aspects of the track.
It's definitely the one section that focuses a lot more on tech, other than that uphill platform drift. But at the same time, this is where all the tight angles come out, just to slow the players down, get them ready for the identity, and then all of a sudden, boom, full speed. Merry Christmas. That's all you need.
This is going to be that full speed part, and right now Mizuki actually had the ace in their grasp. They still might be able to pull it off right now. Spark is going to have to be the one who maybe sends it. In fact, no, it's going to be Kuda from downtown, just lunging past two a little bit too much, though, bonks himself off, and Spark is not there. That is the ace, and that is the track going to Mizuki.
2-all for this, and this is a lot closer to a fight than we both expected. I wasn't sure which way I was going to swing, but 2-all? Whew! Whew!
We've been sleeping on Mizuki. This is the second time in a row I feel like we've slept on Mizuki.
Look,
or at least I have. I'm not going to speak for you, but I doubted them in the upper quarter. They wound up coming through, and here in the upper final, again, they're taking 2 rounds off Vobi, who I thought had a chance to almost perfect today.
Yeah, I think we've both been sleeping on Mizuki, knowing that like they're in Russia, so we don't actually see them a lot in our Trackmania Asia OS events and stuff, but they can definitely take part knowing that they're in our Apac region. But seeing them perform against some of our greatest like TMAO players, it's just such an interesting sight to see, knowing how good these players are.
Yeah, and again, you know, it feels like a lot of the jitters that we saw from them at the start of the day in that upper quarterfinal as well, where SQLC was kind of a coin flip on every single track, either finishing first or last. That hasn't been the case so far in this upper bracket final. In fact, they've been right up there with it. So I just saw Spark upside down right there for a brief moment. That's not a good sign for Vobi. Mizuki is continuing where they were before, as Kuda actually goes for the full 360. Barely flipped themselves, but it's still Mizuki in 1-2.
It's Mizuki in 1 and 2, and it does seem to be this way, even though Kuda is trying to make that push, gets that diagonal to get as much booster as possible. But Hitone and SQLC are right there, basically. It's just gorgeous to watch those two in the exact same line. SQLC can actually line up with Hitone, which is a sneaky strat. Seeing Hitone ahead, he can go, hey, I'm going to follow that exact line. One bonks, both bonk, but both of them hit it cleanly, and that's going to be an ace for round 1 on back and forth.
Second ace in a row as well, if we can take into that last round, you know, last track, I should say, final round as well. Mizuki continuing with their momentum now, pulling a bit further ahead, and this was a Vobi selected match, or track, I should say, so we have to remember that moving forward. Mizuki, if they are able to kind of get the break point, to go back to the tennis terminology, it would put them in such a strong position moving into what would be track number 6.
It is also an interesting situation. As previously mentioned, one of these players will be going through to the grand final. We'll see tomorrow. But the other team may also fight through the lower bracket and still make it. So we could see this rematch tomorrow after they've had a chance to practice and see how they go. There might be different picks. We might see reps for all we know.
Mate, wow. I say it ain't so, because I forgot that track even existed.
Oh, reps.
How do we know it's real? How do we know it's real at the moment? I haven't seen it.
The only reason I know it's real is I did grind it earlier and got some nice PBs on it, so I know it's real and I'm happy with that map. But Kuda and Spark, 1 and 2 right now, basically in line with each other. There's the ace the other way, stopping that momentum. It's just basically a game of tennis with aces at this point.
Yeah, service aces, you know, in men's tennis in particular, I feel like determines half of the points that we see. And, well, between these two teams, it always feels like it's the first 2 rounds are always an ace each way. But now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Round 3, and chance for one of these teams to really get to the lead in the midpoint of our 5th track. At the moment, it is Mizuki. And through that first CP in a stronger position, Hitone looking pretty good as well. SQLC going to try and bring it back, but it's Spark, who is normally so good, it feels like, in every single one of these tracks through the first checkpoints, who's actually lagging a bit behind.
Yeah, Spark is one of those players who we've seen the consistency from, and he's definitely not pulling it out in this round. But Hitone has got the pace over Kudo.
Oh no!
Kudo gets the flip? Okay, Kudo gets the flip. That's what happened.
Intentional?
I think he's going for that intentionally, judging from the fact he's done that in several rounds. He's just going for the style points just to be like, hey, we're Voby, deal with it, basically.
I actually wonder, like, you know, if that is a way of kind of keeping momentum and saving time. Like, because I know they're the only one who's been going for it, but they're hitting it consistently, and they're not losing that much. In fact, Kuda's going to probably win this round, a double boink right there from both Mizuki members, and that's an ace for Voby.
As you mentioned, in tennis, aces are good, and like that, they're going to double Mizuki's scoreline 4 points before they can take the third map for them. 5 maps in total, but 3-2 is going to be handy for them moving into the final maps.
They're not swimmers, they're tennis players, Roby. we figured it out. That swimming, not their specialty, but when it comes to tennis, they seem to be doing quite well. As a stand, Mizuki, they're going to be looking to try and bring this one back as Spark. Still staying with it, but again, not looking as good. Mizuki, this is the strongest start we've seen so far in a round so far here and back and forth.
I think another thing as well is we use the tennis analogy, we use the swimming analogy. We should also account for basketball because they're scoring threes. So we may as well just make them any sportsman except Trackmania races. But right now we're watching a good race with a slight clip from Spark, I believe, to slow down. But Hitone and SQLC 1 and 2. Will Spark be able to catch up? It does not appear so, as they do get through the identity. It's going to be clean from SQLC. And once again, that's an ace.
Only allowed to ace on back and forth, apparently. That's how this one's going to be determined. 6-6 right now. Whoever does it better this next round will get themselves on to track point. And if we draw for some reason instead of another ace, well, then both of them could be on track point. Either way, that was a boink, it looked like, from SQLC on that first check mark right now. And that does bode well for Voby because they're currently sitting once again in 1-2.
1 and 2 is definitely heady for them if they could get that next ace. But if Mizuki also ace, we could literally see the overtime that we saw in the NCSA cast where they just keep going for ties. Nothing else changes, but it's going to be definitely down to consistency, and Kuda and Spark currently have it. Except Hitone gets a powerful line and oh! Yeah, that's a crash. And never mind. Kuda and Spark in number 2. Let me finish my original thought.
Go for it. Like, I do want to say, though, when it comes to that, like, ice landing, though, off of that half pipe, I feel like the 360 is a little bit slower from what we've seen so far. Like, it's the safer run. We saw Spark take it right there, but one of the reasons why we saw Hitone take it back was because they didn't go for the spin. And that's something that we've seen, you know, Kuda also avoid taking the spin, sometimes going for the flip and doing quite well. And SQLC just sniped that ace away.
I believe Kuda made a mistake from what I could tell. So that does mean it is going to stop that scoreline, but keep in mind, a victory for Mizuki, and we go back to the tie, we may have an even match on back and forth.
We do. We've got that even match, and so it's going to come down to this one. Perhaps if Voby can win this one out, they will be moving on to, well, I would say match point in a sense going into the 6th track. At the moment, though, it is Hitone leading the charge. A couple nice slides through the plastic, but momentum actually kind of lost briefly from them. Spark tries to get it back, and that's a rough landing.
He just had to go for the start points there. That's the only reason he would have done that. But Hitone currently dueling it out with Kuda up the front, SQLC, Spark in the back. It still could go in Voby's favor. We just have to see how the identity goes with Kuda getting a bit more speed than Hitone. He's trying to catch up, knowing what's at stake here. Tight inside line, really riding the corners of the platforms. Hitone makes a mistake. Kuda's able to overtake, and that's going to be first place. But will Spark be able to bring up the back? No, it's got... Yes!
Yes!
That's enough, and that's going to be Voby taking the 5th map, 3-2 in their favor, one more map, and they will be moving to the grand final tomorrow.
That was the closest map yet, though. Mizuki almost able to kind of break them on the selection that was not there. It's going back to their own selection. We have a chance to finally go to a 7th map. We'll see if that does come back together. As it stands, match point in favor of Vobi as we go to freestyle. Haven't seen this track for a good long while, Edamame. I think we're gonna have to do another track walkthrough for this one.
We have not actually seen this on the cast. This is the first time that we get to watch it on the cast, so you bet we're gonna be walking through the track, folks. Make sure you get your walking sticks ready, get your handy guides out, as we are gonna take a walk through freestyle, preferably at pace because it's still a live round. But we'll get to that when it comes to it. Kuda's parked up.
Kuda's showing it. Like Kuda is giving us the grand tour right now.
It's great. All right, let's get started with freestyle. This map here is it's a bit of a good mixed map. There is a lot of different sections. There's some speedy ones, there's some tight ones, there's transitional. It's everything you could ask for. You start with that plastic section where you do have the cruise control, up into a small dirt section as you transfer down onto this little bit of a platform section where you go wide for this black platform drift onto the grass. And as you go on the grass, you want to get that that nose steering. You want to make sure you're lined up so you drive across the platforms with that. A nice uphill drift, and then you have this lovely quarter pipe transition up and through the ring, and that's your checkpoint right there. You head down onto the dirt with reactor down. You want to keep that wide line to line yourself up for the next section. Going up onto the hill, you have a bit of a blind drop onto the plastic and a bit of a downhill, which is... it's weird in Cam 1, but if you're on Cam 2, you're fine. You hit this booster, and this is the identity. Dirt wall ride, upwards flick, beautiful freestyling, and that's going to be an ace for Vobi to start us out.
Yeah, great little ending right there. Vobi just had the control realistically through the identity that was able to put them over the top. But it's not just the identity where we can see some of those mistakes. Again, you know, the engine down, I feel like, is another part where you can see it as well. So, like, when you lose your steering, that could be another place where some unforced errors could rear its ugly head as it stands. Starting off this next round, Vobi, very hot start with that ace. Again, they're the ones who are looking to go to day 2 immediately. They're the ones who want those 5 points, and well, at the moment, they're the ones who are going to have to play a little bit of catch-up because Mizuki, through those first couple CPs, they're going to be the one out in front.
It's going to be handy for them to get that extra bit of a lead, but Spark is right there fighting as well. It's still an even race. Only 0.2 separating them. This is one of the closest rounds we've had for a while. Spark actually pushing towards the pack, trying to make that move on SQLC. Just behind. He says he's first, but he's not actually first. Now he's first. But Heatone is trying to hold that first position, knowing that he's got the upper hand here. Kuda moves his way into third place. Releases a little bit to get that lower landing to try and line up much better. Spark's right there as well. He's got his teammate in front as we do head into the identity. Heatone keeping such a clean round. Kuda moves into second as they get the flick. Heatone able to land it cleanly, and that's going to get him the first place. Kuda in second. Spark having to recover.
Woo. Yeah, that was...
That's unfortunate for him. That's going to be a victory for Mizuki, though. It's going to be getting 2 points for them and 1 for Vobi. Still 4 points for Vobi, 6 until they go into the grand final.
Victory. Yeah, it still have that lead right there. So even though they've lost the round, it wasn't a disaster. Kuda, you know, making it work at the tail end of it all. But for Mizuki, they can still bring it back. So definitely not counting either side out just yet. Don't want to see that ace, though. If you're a fan of Mizuki and you want to see them go back in this one, Vobi so close to getting themselves on to match point. Starting through these first couple of checkpoints, it is SQLC out in front and trying to put some gap on it. But again, like as we saw in that last round as well, these teams very even through the first half of the track.
It is definitely one of those things. You notice everyone's really close. Everyone handled this well. And there's no real random elements to the start, which is why this map is probably preferred by some of the players. At the same time, that ending is cruel. As someone who's built maps with that kind of element, it's cruel to do. So if you're not aware of that, you've got to learn it and pray that you can hit it in your rounds. But we do have Mujiki currently in the lead, first and second, but Spark gets the better line on that. Kuda actually catches up. Will he overtake Heatone? Not quite, but it is going to be a draw for these guys. First for Heatone, Spark and Kuda, second and third.
Yeah, Heatone, you know, again, super consistent, particularly on the second half of the track right there. SQLC, unfortunately, having those little bit of mistakes. But the good sign for Vobi was the fact that Spark didn't have that unforced error at the end, so was actually able to hit the identity cleanly this time around as we move towards another one in this one. Only 5 points away from Vobi in their trip to the grand final, which will be played tomorrow for the loser of this match as well. I believe realistically, if you actually think about it, both these teams have already made it on to day 2 because the loser of this one is in the lower bracket final, which will also be played tomorrow. So it's just how early they'll be starting their day on day 2 and which side will have to put in that little bit more work as it stands, getting ready through this big jump right here. This is the first part where we start to see discrepancies really in the times as everyone's so consistent through the first half of the track, and this time everyone so consistent as well through that jump.
That jump is definitely the deciding factor there, and you can see Kuda likes to take that low line, and that definitely helps him out as he heads into that. But SQLC actually had a strong line out of that, and it's going to be 360 for Kuda, and that was so clean. That's an ace for them. Spark even managed to catch up with that, and that's going to be 2 points away from the grand final tomorrow.
Vobi just needs to win this next round, and it could all be theirs. Pressure on Mujiki. Will they be starting tomorrow in that lower bracket? Will they be able to make that comeback and take us to our first track 7 out of the gate? It's looking pretty even, although Kuda is slightly out in front.
Kuda is slightly out in front, and there's Spark able to catch up. Another thing as well, as previously mentioned, if Mujiki end up going to that lower bracket and they still manage to win, we could see them again. Like, it's not just goodbye to them. It may be, hey, you're starting early, but hey, we'll see you in the grand finals. How's that sound? That sounds like a good time.
And to me, that also sounds like, look, everyone obviously wants to have free trip to the grand final. You feel a little bit better, but there's always going to be that part of you that wonders, hey, is it better, assuming that you win that lower bracket final, getting those reps in early, getting into that competitive mindset early. Sometimes, that lower bracket run is entirely possible for that reason. As it stands, Vobi with a chance to put it away here. If Spark can hold on to that first place, it looks like Hitone had a little bit of a mistake. Spark crosses the line, and now if Kuda can win the round for them, they will get the ace, and Vobi goes to the grand final.
Congratulations to Vobi for such a valiant effort, able to take out the 4 maps they need, and they will be moving forward, as well as Asia Overdrive, who won their match against Juice Racing. So we will be seeing Juice Racing and Mujiki tomorrow fighting it out, and I believe it will be, Juice Racing and Mujiki in the bottom final tomorrow. I knew what I was saying.
I hear what you're saying, but I need to double check that because I thought we were doing one more match. I thought that was just Juice. That was Asia Overdrive making their way to the lower bracket semifinal. Because we still have to wait for Beej and LaFish, which is happening right now.
Yeah, well, that's the one that we're going to be watching. So let's go and watch Beej and LaFish happening right now on map 5.
The 2 best names.
Yeah, pretty good names. Not gonna lie.
They're the best. They're the 2 best.
But we do have this match 2-2. LaFish is currently winning on Slippy slides. We joined halfway through the round, so we get to see all the chaos that goes on in the second half of this map with Kimmy currently in the lead. Pixel's trying to fight it out with Chaos Cobra, and that's a mistake from Kimmy. Chaos Cobra's going to be pushing forward, and that's going to be Kimmy trying to fight his way forward with Pixels in second there. Kelva is a fair margin back, but Cobra's got to keep that consistent to get himself that first place. Pixels is pushing forward. It comes down to the identity. Pixels gets the better bug slide as he dumps into the second bug slide. That's the bug slide he needs. That's the sniper. That's going to be him in first place. Cobra in second. Kimmy messed it up. That's okay, Kimmy. You still got this. Just get around the bug slide 1. And Kelvin managed to get there. So that's going to be a tie. 1 point away for LaFish to make him go up 3-2.
I'm so curious what some of the other tracks we saw in this map, like in this round, I should say, in this match, to get to this point. Because, I mean, if picks and bans have been going as they have been, this means that this is actually a Beej sort of track selection right now, that LaFish is on not just any sort of round point, track point. They're 1 point away. Even a draw would be able to take it for them. So pressure on this Beej side as we get through a couple of these early checkpoints. Everyone's staying super tight together, but more impressively, LaFish, they've got the 1-2, and they've even got a half second on their opponents.
Yeah, in case you missed it, Kellis Cobra joins the OzTM space program once again and hit the checkpoint, sending him out, and that meant that he's a margin behind. But Kelva's trying to keep up, trying to claw back, but currently 1 and 2 is LaFish. As long as they can keep that consistency, it's going to be a LaFish map, and we're going to be moving into map 6 with that, as we do have them basically on top of each other. Was that double mistake. No, that was clean. Okay. I just lost the labels for a moment. I thought it was double mistake. They're good drivers, folks. As you can see, they're both first and second right now. Kelva, a bit of a margin behind. It's going to be hard for him to catch up as they do get around the first corner. Kimmy is able to make it across, and that's a clip by Kelva.
Oh.
That's an ace, and that is the 5th map to LaFish. That is 3-2 in their favor.
Yeah, 3-2 in their favor with their own map selection coming up next. I can't tell you what it is. We're going to be along for the ride and the surprise just like everyone else. But what we can tell you is LaFish really won, you know, the slipping and the sliding quite easily in their favor right there. A 12-3 victory, pretty massive. Momentum has to be in their favor, and a chance to get to that lower bracket semifinal. Just one track away, and we're going to Aero Pipes.
Aero Pipes! That's what we like to see. Aero Pipes, the
wanted
wonderful ending. We haven't seen reps.
I know. I thought that was the chance, like surprise reps. You know what I mean?
We could have seen reps. Hey, look, if Bedge managed to take this, we might be moving to reps.
True. We might have missed reps as well, though. That's just it. Like we have no idea where reps is. I'm still not convinced that reps exists.
Look, reps is just like that hoax that Australia doesn't exist. Until we see it, reps doesn't exist.
Yeah, that is true right now. Well, I mean, Careless Cobra trying to represent Australia right now. We'll see if they're going to be able to do so, because Bedge, they need this strong result right here. LaFish Fan Club, they've been on a pretty strong lower bracket run to get this far. Will they be able to make it all the way to that lower bracket semis? Either way, we have started on Aero Pipes, and no early mistakes just yet. That said, LaFish, they definitely have the better start.
Yeah, it is a much cleaner start for LaFish, and we have seen some good runs from Pixel and Kimmy there. Obviously, Pixel being the king of this identity that we've seen today, basically first place whenever he hit it, and we're not talking about when he didn't hit it. But first and second right now is going to be handy for those two, as Cobra and Kelva are trying to claw their way back through these quarter pipes. But will they be able to catch up in this section? Cobra's got the better gear out of that, but he's still 1.2 behind. It's not looking good.
No, it's not a strong position right now for Bedge. I mean, when you're nearly 2 seconds down, I mean, LaFish, all they need is a clean run through the identity. But as we've seen in the past, you know, sometimes it can be anything but, especially on a track like Aero Pipes lining themselves up. It's looking pretty good initially for LaFish. They each stick the landings, and that will be the ace for the team in red.
That was almost the cleanest round of Aero Pipes I've seen in a while. That was Pixels and Kimmy first try. Cobra bounced on the ending, but he landed flat, and Kelva had to slow down slightly. But that was clean. That was respectable. Good work, guys.
You know what? It's about time we got some clean runs through these Aero Pipes. It is deserved, and it is good to see LaFish starting to get more and more consistent throughout the day, because we keep catching the tail end of their matches when they're really starting to strive and thrive and push themselves forward. So exciting to see them making this run. A rough start for Careless Cobra here in the second round on the Aero Pipes, and if LaFish can hold on, a second ace possibly on the table.
Potentially a second ace on the table, but I'm guessing we'll just have to see how it goes. Seeing Aero Pipes and seeing how these players go, this is one of the maps that could be in LaFish's favor in tomorrow's match. If they can prove that they can get consistent and practice on it, this could just be a guaranteed map win for them. They pick it, it's a dub.
Yeah, well, the problem is if everyone's watching along and seeing them get consistent on it, it's going to be banned every single time based on what we see from the other duos in this. They'll probably want no part of giving LaFish these Aero Pipes. As it stands right now, though, again, they're looking pretty good into the identity. Can they keep it together for a second time in a row? You know they can. LaFish back-to-back aces.
That's got to be good for LaFish, especially being like, we're 3-2 ahead. Let's just get some aces. 2 aces up their sleeve, 6 points ahead. It is looking strongly in their favor at this point.
It is looking very strong in their favor. All they need is a draw, and they will be on match point. Bedge back against the wall. I'm a little bit worried, though, Edamame, because here's where I worry they're going to start over-risking. They're going to make some unforced mistakes, and that's going to push LaFish even closer to the end.
I mean, potentially LaFish could get overconfident and cause those mistakes. But with a 6-point lead, they're going to have to make a lot of mistakes for Bedge to catch up and put it into map 7. So we'll just have to see how they do with Pixels currently taking the lead comfortably. Cobra right behind, Kimmy in chase right now trying to also catch up. We've got Kelva in the back also with the pack. It's actually everyone really close together as we do head into the plastic with Pixels, Cobra and Kimmy all taking the corner nicely. It's 2 seconds separating them, and 2 seconds on Aero pipes is nothing. The identity decides everything in the end.
Absolutely. I mean, what I'm impressed with, this is actually the first time we've seen Careless Cobra so far. Third time's a charm. They've been able to get through all of the early checkpoints without, having one of those unforced errors. The question is whether or not they'll be able to carry that over into the identity even of itself, especially with Kimmy and all that momentum. That's a mistake from Kimmy. So we won't be getting an ace. We will be seeing Pixel come across her. Actually, wait, ace was on the table a lot later than we expected to see. Careless Cobra, another mistake on the pipes means the round win goes to LaFish.
That's still 8-1, and that's a 7-point margin. Bedge have to get some aces up their sleeve. Otherwise, it's game over, and LaFish will be moving on. I am nervous about this match, knowing that Bedge could be saying goodbye right now.
I mean, we've still yet to see Careless Cobra have a clean round. Like, Careless Cobra has had a mistake. It's had to reset every single round thus far, and I don't even think, like, that includes, both before and during the identity, because I feel like Careless Cobra has had mistakes on both ends. Last time was the first time they got through the first checkpoints before having those mistakes. So if Bedge is going to make that comeback, Careless Cobra has to be perfect, and that ain't it, Chief.
That was perfect timing. We were saying, yes, he's going to make no mistake. Okay. It's Kelvin now trying to find his way forward to try and deny the ace, because the ace is just GG at this point. Kelva's pushing hard. You can tell he's risking into every corner, but that rough landing is not going to be handy, and that's 0.7. Pixels is slowing down slightly, but will Kelva be able to catch up? We'll see as we head into the next dirt. And he does catch up, but if Pixels can finish third, it's still GG.
Yeah, it's going to come down shock and awe to the identity once again, and whether or not Pixels will be able to hit it clean as well as Kimmy. Kimmy looks pretty good. Kelv actually looked a little bit shaky, and that's going to open the door for Pixels to take it right back. That's going to be, well, Pixels in first, but Careless Cobra actually caught Kimmy, who did make the mistake. That's going to be a draw, and Bedge somehow stays alive.
One more match. As long as one of them crosses the line first, GG, LaFish moves on. But Bedge still have a chance to come back with 3 aces. Or 2 aces and a victory. Or, basically as long as they can get to a tie, we're fine. But it literally comes down to, can LaFish finish first? And if they can, that's GG.
I mean, I haven't seen enough from Bedge to make me think, yeah, they've got that ace. They're going to be willing to pull it out. At the end of the day, like, at least one member of LaFish has been consistent no matter what. They kind of did a sort of position swap at the end of that last round right there, which had me scratching my head a little bit. An unusual unforced error out of Kimmy, but Careless Cobra, they're looking all right this round. It's actually Kelv who has fallen 4.5 seconds behind right now, and that's not how you get an ace, Edamame. That's how you get yourself out of this event.
That is not great for him, but Cobra knows that he's the last-ditch effort. As long as he can catch up and do it and hope that LaFish fails his identity, that's all we can ask for as we head to LaFish on the identity. Clean jump there. Both of them clean. Onto the second pipe. Clean. Landing. That
Clean
is
enough.
an ace, and that is GG for LaFish. They take out the match. Bedge, unfortunately, we do say goodbye to. They fought well, but they didn't fight well enough.
Yeah, you know what? I would agree on that one. It was just unfortunate that the 2 tracks that we saw from Bedge was LaFish kind of hitting their stride, dare I say. They took 2 off of LaFish, so it wasn't like it was a one-sided match from start to finish. But when LaFish is on a track that they feel comfortable on, they look quite deadly, and I think they can definitely throw down with a lot of the better teams. The question is, though, are they going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Asia Overdrive?
And I guess that's what we'd have to see coming up, because if Asia Overdrive are able to take it and hold that consistency, they'll be the ones that are going to be the ones to look for. But LaFish getting themselves into the lower bracket final, which we will be seeing tomorrow alongside Asia Overdrive there. That's going to be an exciting match. I haven't actually seen Asia Overdrive today, so that's one of those ones to watch. We are going to go on a quick break before our next match. We got our last match coming up soon, so stick around, folks. Grab your water, go to the bathroom, do everything you need to, and we'll be back with the final match of today for the Trackmania World Tour Apac Regionals. And we are back with the final match of tonight for the Trackmania World Tour Apac Regionals 1. We are going to get straight into the pick bans here. We have Team Red banning a map. This is going to be between LaFish and Asia Overdrive. This is going to be the exciting match that we want to watch.
Yeah, we finally get to see Asia Overdrive on stream after their 4-1 victory over Juice Racing in lower bracket round 2. They were able to punch their way here. It was a 4-2 victory for LaFish. Meanwhile, on that other side, as we saw them kind of punch their way into this matchup, bands coming through, no parkour, no freestyle, reps still on the table. Does it finally happen? Do we finally get our reps?
Come on, reps. We want some reps, folks. We need some reps hype in the chat. We do have a Slippy Slides and we do have an Agility Dash. Both good maps, but it's not reps. Come on, reps. Starlight, you know you want to. Pick reps. Pick reps.
I mean, maybe we'll see it, maybe not right now. But what we will see is the winner of this match playing again tomorrow. That is what is on the line. Lower bracket final for the winner, making it to day number 2. And that's going to be a fun one to go up against that team from Eastern Russia. As it stands, Slowdown will be the 3rd map selected here. Track number 4 up for grabs. Still no reps. And
still no reps.
I feel like
Apac
just doesn't like reps.
It's kind of concerning considering I like reps. So come on, Pat, pick reps. Or the random can pick reps. Gyroscope's there. We've got Flipper Faith reps and back and forth. If we get back and forth on the random... Okay, so we got reps.
It was picked.
Yes. Thank you.
Reps was actually picked. Oh, and Flip of Faith was selected by the random. That's, well, close to what an ideal situation. As it stands, though, we are getting ready to go into our first race in just a few moments. As we're going to be getting to go on this one. I don't know, chat, what prediction were people saying? I just having a quick look right there. It feels like LaFish is where most of the fans are staying for this one. Again, based on channel points right now, they're nearly 3 times his favorite.
I would love to see Spider and Starlight do well. I really do. Spider is actually one of the top players currently, like stats-wise on the maps, like looking at the best times. He is one of the tops for Asia region. However, they're going against Kimmy and Pixels. And we've seen the consistency from Kimmy and Pixels, so I did throw in my 1,000 points in favor of LaFish.
Oh, Asia caught back up.
Asia caught back up?
Asia just took the lead.
Oh, someone dropped a lot of points in there.
you talked about your faith and how much you believed in LaFish, and then Asia Overdrive just took over. What does that say?
I don't know what's going on with that. But all I'm saying is my vote's with LaFish. LaFish is going to make me proud. Pixels and Kimmy going to take it out, as we do have warm-up on Slippy Slides. We have seen some Slippy Slides tonight. We've seen Pixels and Kimmy on Slippy Slides even, but we have yet to see Spider and Starlight at all this evening.
I mean, we've been seeing a lot of slipping and sliding. That is for sure. LaFish actually, all the way back in our first matchup on the day, struggled a bit on this track where we saw it felt like every single time one of them just not really able to get that bug slide, would lose that grip and go careening off the side. Asia Overdrive was the side that picked it. So I have confidence that, you know, your pick to win this one out. I have confidence that they're going to get off to a hot start.
The funny thing is, even if LaFish wins, it's still a victory for Asia Overdrive, as Kimmy is a member of Asia Overdrive. So it's 3 Asia Overdrive members and a Curse member. So Asia Overdrive's winning regardless. Congratulations to Asia Overdrive. But let's see how the rounds play out at the start of round 1. Pixel's currently in the lead with Spider right there as well. Kimmy repping the same car. This gets really confusing because all 3 of them have identical cars.
Just as, you know, is intended right now. Oh, that looked to be a little mistake. I believe that was Kimmy again. The identical cars, hard to tell. But yes, it was indeed Kimmy with a little bit of a reset action right there. And that's going to open up the door for Asia Overdrive to not just win this first round, but possibly look for the ace as well. Here we go, though, into the identity. See if they're going to be able to get those bug slides in play. Pixel has to try and get in front of Spider as we start off that first jump. Is there grip? Yes, there is in the first one. Spider still out in front, gripping into the second one. Super tight for Spider, actually loses it, and Pixels takes it away.
That's going to be enough for a tie right there. Kimmy just has to get through this identity, and even if he doesn't, that's going to be a tie for LaFish. That is a good start for the 2, evenly matched on this map. Hopefully we'll see some cleaner rounds, but it's still in anyone's favor.
Yeah, it's still quite tight in this round right now. A quick draw, pretty good for both the sides. Starting off on that second round right now, I'd have to believe with how confident LaFish was actually hitting that feature at the end, Pixels, that's a good sign moving forward. All we need is Kimmy to stay right up there with it, and LaFish, I feel like, you know, when you see a team making early unforced errors, you don't really lose as much confidence in them because you know as soon as they hit to that feature and they're both up there together, they're going to get that strong result.
That strong result on the identity is definitely what matters, especially like knowing that if you mess up the identity, there is no recovery. You have to go to the starting slide. So you might hit the first slide fine. Mess up that second slide, you are back to the start and you have to pray that you can make it. But Spider is currently running away with it. Pixels and Starlight dueling it out in second and third. Kimmy at the back of the pack, pushing his way forward, trying to basically claw back as many points as possible. Knowing it is a tie right now, and that is not the slide that Kimmy wants. Kimmy is unfortunately going to be eating a lot of the edge, but that's 1 and 2, Starlight, Pat, and Spider, as they do head into the identity. Clean slide from... Never mind for both of them. Pixels is
oh my god, what is happening?
Pixels gets his first place comfortably. Spider gets his second. Kimmy getting third? Yeah, Kimmy getting third. What happened?
Super Mario 64 and it just slip sliding away right there at the end. No one able to hit it clean. And LaFish, I mean, I guess they take advantage of the chaos right there, able to get themselves that round win. But outside of Pixels, I now have no faith in anyone to be able to hit this one clean. This is going to be another coin flip map. And you know what? By proxy of just being on the track right now, I'm a little nervous for Pixels as well. This is... one of these teams has to get that consistency down packed, and this is the round to do it. If you get that strong result here, if you're actually finally able to get into your groove, I think we're going to see one of these teams to start acing their way to the finish.
And right now, that appears to be Asia Overdrive with Spider running away with it. Starlight, Pat close in pursuit. Pixels are trying to catch up to try and deny them the ace. Kimmy is right behind him as well. I forgot that Kimmy's back there. He actually managed to catch up, but that is not the exit he wants on that. As we do have Starlight, Pat, and Spider just up the front, running away with this. As we get into the ice slide, Pixels hits a clean, but it won't be enough. He is still 1.8 seconds behind. As we go into the identity, please, people, hit it. Spider misses it. Starlight, Pat hits it. Pixels is right there in pursuit. Actually gets the better exit. It could be Starlight, Pat's round, and it is going to be Starlight, Pat. First, Pixel second. And it's going to be Kimmy getting third there, so that is going to be a draw.
This is concerning for Asia Overdrive. Like, the fact that we're seeing Spider struggle so much right now with the identity on this track. Again, it's not just the fact that they were the team that selected it as well, but usually when you're making it feels like the same mistake over and over again in this situation, you know, the failure to execute that bug slide, it can start to get into your head a little bit, and we're seeing more mistakes off the start, as well as I believe that was Starlight Pat going a little bit high, actually came off the track right there. Sorry, no, it was Spider again. Spider still having struggles right now.
He is currently in struggle street, trying to catch up. 12 seconds behind is basically him out of the round, but seeing the identity, miracles can happen, but with 14 seconds behind, we probably won't be seeing Spider make an appearance up here in the top with Kimmy, keeping a margin ahead of Starlight, Pat. Pixels right there in third place, trying to fight it out with them. As we get into the drop slide, it is very clean by all three. Starlight goes off. Okay, Starlight went off, and that's going to be Kimmy and Pixels up in front. They've got room to play with now, so as long as they hit the identity cleanly, first jump there, Pixels just proving this is his map. He's having a great time. Yep. Got Blue Danube playing in the background, doing his pirouettes, and that is going to be an ace for LaFish. 3 points away from taking us off.
So, one of the things that has me nervous about this track usually is when you come to the end, even when you have that 3-second lead, it's not like you can take the identity on this one conservatively. It always feels like you kind of have to risk it, but it doesn't matter. Like, Pixel's 100% right now, the only driver of the four that is 100% in the identity. And with Spider having these struggles, Asia Overdrive, they're an ace away from losing out, and it feels realistic. It feels like the LaFish fan club is going to get it, and this will be the first time on stream actually that we see a team, the first map that they select, not go their way, if that happens to be the case. Although through these first couple checkpoints, finally it looks like Asia Overdrive is getting, you know, the start that they were looking for.
It is definitely a much cleaner start for them, and they are able to hold that first and second, but all the players are still... Starlight just ate a meal. Okay, so Spider's in the lead, and Pixels is now in second. That is, I believe, Kimmy right there catching up. They are in pursuit of Spider, just chasing him down, knowing that they can capitalize on any mistake Spider makes. So Spider knows the pressure is on. If he can't hold this consistently, that is not going well. A little bit of a clip there from Pixels, but he's able to recover with Kimmy in that second position. Spider actually hits it cleanly. That's the first slide. Second slide, even cleaner, and that's going to guarantee a tie there. Kimmy in second and Pixels in third. So that's a tie, 2 points away from taking the map.
You know what? I'm still proud of Spider. Spider did it, and I think we need to celebrate that right now based on what we've seen before. We bounced back. First time we see a clean round coming from Spider, and it was a good time for it as well, because even though it's only a draw, Asia Overdrive, it was the best result we've seen from them in a little while. Maybe they can work off it. Maybe they can start to build themselves back into the running, but as we start off this next round, Spider is the one who's keeping up with it. Unfortunately, Pixel is right up there with them. And LaFish Fan Club, they don't care about any momentum you may have just fought back. They're staying super tight, and this is actually the first time we've seen all four of our drivers this close together for this long.
I mean, there was a round before where there was one that was about 0.7, but keeping 0.3 between each other is still a close fight. And right now you can see Kimmy with that unfortunate clip is going to be losing speed, but Pixels is able to move into second place. And that's still handy for them as they go into this slide. Starlight Pat slides out, and that is not handy for them at all. Pixels, Spider clipped as well. Kimmy's going to try and overtake. This could be everything he needs as they go into the identity. Kimmy has a lot more speed. Pixels we've seen hit the identity clean. Kimmy's able to recover that, but Spider gets the cleaner slide. It's coming out to the ending. Spider's going to get the cleaner slide. Does not matter. Kimmy in third is going to be the victory for LaFish, and that is the first track in their favor.
Kimmy's recovery on that first bug slide was a thing of beauty. It looked like they had lost it. It looked like Asia Overdrive was going to come back, but not meant to be. LaFish, they were just more consistent on that track from start to finish, and I'm not going to pat my back too hard, but I did kind of call it at that third round. Whoever comes out better there is probably going to run away with this one, and that was what we saw when it was all said and done. Just never able to get the consistency, unfortunately, for that Asia Overdrive. And now we're going into one of LaFish's fan club's tracks. So things are only going to get harder, especially on a track like Agility Dash, where, again, if you're struggling with the bug slides, well, you might be struggling with that little bit of a, I want to call it a parkour section, even though it's not on the parkour track.
Parkour is one of those maps that I think got banned from this one, but parkour is one of those tracks that everyone in this lobby is used to. Everyone's played the map, everyone's practiced on the map, everyone's had a chance to compete on the map thanks to the solo clashes. But Agility Dash right now is LaFish's pick, and if they can keep that consistency going, we may see a 2-0 on this map.
Yeah, and that would be disastrous, you'd have to believe, for Asia Overdrive if they're going to kind of let this one slip away. Granted, early days right now, things are looking good for LaFish nonetheless. Super tight pack, though. All within 200th of a second. Engines off and back on. People staying tight with it. It's only Starlight Pat who's slowly slipping further behind.
That is not a good thing for Starlight Pat, but Spider and Pixels are dueling it out. These guys are neck and neck right now. It's still anyone's game. Spider proving that he is a full-speed player with such a clean speed drift, and that is going to be enough for him to keep pace with Pixels as they get through these drifts. It is neck and neck, but I believe that was a clip by Spider? Yeah, that was a clip by Pixels, and that is not good for him.
No, it's not going to be good for them at all. In fact, it's enough of a clip that's allowed Starlight Pat to get right back in it. Spider, though, still leading the charge. Kimmy about a second behind. However, when you get to the identity, anything can happen. Spider, first landing good. Second landing is where things can go wrong. It goes wrong for Kimmy as they go bouncing off. Spider crosses in first, and Starlight Pat completes the ace.
That was unfortunate. You could see Kimmy had the pace there, but he did not have the angle. And that is going to cost them, as Asia Overdrive is going to get an early 3-point lead, and that is not looking good.
Oh, well, I mean, it's looking good for Asia Overdrive, and it's looking good for a competitive series, so it all depends on perspective how good this one looks. But yeah, you have to be a little bit worried for LaFish, at least on the first round, but we're going to call it a warm-up round. That's been the MO for these first rounds. It definitely has not been a telltale sign in the past. And Pixels coming into this next one, a little bit of something to prove. Already was a car length ahead until Spider goes for that inside line and actually hitting the grass a bit. Pixel losing a fair bit of momentum. Kimmy will have to be the one now challenging for that first position. Engines off, crank them back on. Spider still stays in the lead. Clean landings from all four, and I am loving how tight these four drivers are through the opening checkpoints in each and every round.
The opening checkpoints are very clearly evenly split between these guys, but it always comes down to the ending. We do see Spider leading the pack. Kimmy second and third, Starlight Pat in the back. Maybe he'll make his approach, we shall see. But as we get through this next corner, it's going to be a clean line on the pool. Both keeping close. Kimmy is edging his way forward, trying to capitalize on any mistake that Spider makes. As we get through to the knife edge, it's going to be close. Clean knife edge, 1, 2. Spider is through. Kimmy getting a bit of speed there. Pixels very close behind as well. Both of them approaching Spider, knowing that if they can take the identity faster, they may get the victory.
Oh my.
That's going to be handy for Kimmy, because he's about to get himself that first, and Starlight is going to... Starlight missed the finish and gets third. That is going to be the ace for LaFish to even it out, but damn, that was a risk and a half.
I mean, they were going for that risk, and unfortunately, I don't know how necessary it was. But I will say this. That was one of the cleanest agility dash identity runs out of Kimmy right there that we've seen all day today. That was so fast, so aggressive, so big time play coming out of LaFish Fan Club, and definitely going to be one to help them get that momentum right back. It was ace for ace, and just like last track, I think, again, this third round is going to be the vital one in telling us which team has the momentum. And with, I believe that was not Pixels, no, that was Kimmy, I think, who has bounced off a little bit. That's a big problem for the LaFish side.
That is definitely not a good thing. Kimmy decided he wanted to play with the neons a little bit and decided to run into one of the archers, but it does mean that 1 and 2 are going to be Asia Overdrive fighting in the front. Pixels knows he can deny them the ace as long as he can get that pace. And right now, he is getting that pace. And Starlight Pat, Starlight Pat, see you later. He is going flying off the track with Spider still up there fighting with Pixels. Pixels is actually able to overtake, and he is moving forward. Spider's dueling it out with him. This is a close fight between the two, but with that jump, that is not going to be handy for Spider.
It's also a semi-close fight as well for third place. If Starlight doesn't keep things clean, I mean, Asia Overdrive, who was in position for a pretty easy round win, all of a sudden could be finding themselves in a terrible position. Pixel with a strong finish. Pixels will be able to take it, although they actually had a bit of a collapse. The oopsie gives first place to Spider, and it's going to be a fight for second, which goes to Starlight, and Asia does recover the ace.
I mean, ace for Asia, ace for LaFish. Ace for Asia, ace for LaFish.
Well, that would be good for Asia Overdrive, because by that logic, they'll be the ones who get the ace on the 9-9 round.
I mean, on the 9-9 round, that's where they start the ties to keep that 2017 going.
You want you going back to tennis, you want this to turn into Wimbledon, don't you? You want the endless games.
Look, the endless games are fun because everyone's panicking. Everyone realizes that the moment you make a mistake, the other team wins. So that's when all the lines come out, all the mistakes come out, and it comes down to that consistency. But these teams are very evenly matched in their performance, so I can't even say that it's going to be a close fight if it gets to like a 10-10 or whatever. It's literally just the game of who is going to take it.
Well, it's not going to be Starlight Pat, at least not through these first couple of checkpoints, as they already had a pretty big crash. Not out necessarily yet, but it does put the pressure on the Spider, who will also crash out by the looks of things right there. So all what LaFish has to do is keep things cool, calm, and collected, and once again, we'll be seeing an ace for an ace.
I think Asia Overdrive's first training session is going to be ignore the pretty lights, go through the checkpoints. We've seen a couple of...
flame.
Exactly. They're like, ooh, shiny things. But admittedly, like, they do pretty well on this map, but it's just unfortunate bonks. It's putting them 10 seconds behind Pixels and Kimmy. And as long as Kimmy and Pixels take their time, get through the identity, up onto the thing, there you go, Kimmy. Just like that, number 1 for Kimmy, number 2 for Pixels, and Spider and Starlight are nowhere to be seen. Spider's actually entering the identity. Clean run across, a bit too far. Goes with a bug. Oh, he nearly got the bug slide recovery off that, but that's not going to be enough. Good safing from Kimmy and Pixels. That's going to be ace for LaFish.
I feel like unless you are a top like 1 or 2% player, every single time you hit that identity, it looks like they're on the knife's edge. It looks like they are just, you know, centimeters from crashing out right there. But the only time I've seen it clean was Kimmy back in that second round. That was the only time I feel like I've seen this identity done right. As it stands, yep, ace for ace. Back and forth these sides go, and if history's going to repeat itself, well, even though they were sitting first and second very, very briefly, I am expecting to see LaFish Fan Club just completely eat it like we have seen, you know, Asia Overdrive do in the past round.
Indeed. But Starlight Pat proving that last round was just a fluke. Going in first place, and Pixels is fighting with him. We've got Spider there in the 3rd position right now, dueling it out. Pixels had a bad line, and that's going to actually push him to 4th, considering how close these guys are heading into the second half of this map. We do have Kimmy taking that inside line. It is going to give him a bit more speed, but he's still behind Starlight Pat and Spider. Does go wide to keep the speed on that. Spider actually making the move over Starlight Pat. It's going to be those two, 1 and 2. Kimmy is going to be trying to fight his way forwards.
That was a bump.
That was a bump.
That was a bump. That was a little clip. And that's going to be a problem right there. Spider may have broken the chain, or rather Kimmy, I think it's taking the chain away, because with those tight lines, that is now a 1-2 all of a sudden in favor of LaFish going into the identity. Edamame, are we breaking the chain?
We might break the chain. This might be a double for LaFish, and that's a double for LaFish. 1-2, LaFish gets the ace. It is still ace, 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 ace. I should clarify that.
That is true.
It's a rigged deck. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, it's just a lot. Yeah, 5 aces. Someone's cheating.
Reminds me of my grandma.
I imagine she was an amazing poker player.
She tried to play a game of cheat by stating 5 aces and putting down 5 cards. So that's something questionable, but in the end, we do love our grandmas. And we also love the Trackmania esports we are watching right now, where we have Pixels currently taking the lead over Starlight Pat.
Get your grandma watching.
I wish my grandma could watch. She'd have so many questions like, what is this? Huh?
Well, all I'm saying is if your grandmother isn't watching right now, watching LaFish getting them set up for another ace, yeah, go call him right now and ask why. Ask why aren't you watching this Trackmania, because Asia Overdrive actually might be able to try and bring this one back. Granted, they need an ace to stay alive, and Spider bumping the wall may have just cost them.
That is unfortunate for them. Kimmy and Pixels in the lead right now. They may take the next ace. Spider is not having a good round on this one. Pixels is holding the lead over Kimmy. Kimmy's right there as well. They're just having fun, taking it smoothly. 5 seconds over Starlight Pat, so as long as they hit the ending cleanly, that's going to be the second map going to them, and that's not looking good for Asia Overdrive.
No, it's not looking good at all, as we hit what could be the final time through this identity. All we need is one of them to hit it clean. It won't be Kimmy. It's going to have to be Pixels, who does get across that line. So it doesn't matter, even in a draw. LaFish Fan Club take the second track.
That is the second track, even with Kimmy having to respawn. It doesn't matter if it's a tie. That is LaFish going 2-0 up in the series. Moving into track 3, they're in a strong position.
They're in a super strong position right now. 2-0 up, always a fine place to be. Granted, we're going back to a track selected by Asia Overdrive, so if the comeback's going to happen, I feel like it has to start now as we get ready to go. We take a look at that car. That seems to be, you know, the Asia Overdrive car, the one that everyone enjoys using. And I have to wonder, why is LaFish Fan Club stealing the Asia Overdrive car?
Well, Kimmy's actually under Asia Overdrive. Even though they're playing as a duo where one's Kurz and one's Asia Overdrive, they're like, there's 3 Asia Overdrive players in this lobby, so all of them are using the same car representing the org. It just happens to be that there's one that's not.
So that actually explains so much how come Kimmy is doing so well, because whenever you play against your teammates, you really want to beat them. You want to beat them more than your rival.
Yeah, of course. And we have a stalled start for Kimmy. Potential disconnection problem?
That would be spicy. We'll see if refs will step in and make a ruling on that. But yeah, not the start that we'd want to see from Kimmy, especially after talking about that was a cast
Kimmy can't drive is actually a technical issue. Refs might be putting a pause to this. We shall see. We'll see what happens after the round. Potentially, like, I don't know what's going to happen. This is not good. Kimmy's car has broken down. The axle's gone one way and the wheel's gone the other.
Who knew that LaFish Fan Club was actually, you know, running some Ferrari engines in them from what we saw before, some recycled from that 2022 season. Either way, I mean, at the end of the day, though, we can still judge, you know, how these guys will be kind of taking the identity at the end. And even without Kimmy, Pixels could be doing enough here to get a draw. So not the worst, you know, in the world for LaFish Fan Club.
Yeah, that is not a good thing at all. But he is driving now. He is caught up. He's he had no chance here. Just decides to go jumping. Kimmy was not able to drive, but he seems to be back now. We do have a match pause in case there are still issues. So we'll just see. Is everyone all good? Kimmy, hopefully he's okay. Kimmy will indicate to the refs with that. Really unfortunate, especially in a finals match, to have your car just not drive. That is not a good thing.
Yeah, but at least it was the first round. It was the warm-up round, right? And it ended in a draw. So if you're going to have it happen, best case scenario when you're 2 tracks up in the first round and your teammate is that much of a beast that they pull out the dub regardless.
I mean, yeah, Pixel showing his consistency on the map is rather handy, and that is definitely going to be a benefit for that, considering the fact that like it ended in a draw, so it's basically even pegging going into the next round. So it's not like LaFish has an advantage or Asia Overdrive has an advantage. It's dead even, basically a reset. No scores changing though. It's just 1-1. Resuming now as we get started, knowing that it is 1-1 apiece. So let's get started with the next round, and Kimmy is driving, so that is a great sign.
Yeah, that is a good sign, but the question is now that your car is working again, Kimmy, no excuses, all right? Oh no, my car broke down. That's why I was 20 seconds back. Not going to fly this time as we get started on this second track, and it is Spider with the early lead. However, Kimmy was staying with them somewhat, but is now falling further and further behind, and this is more of what we expected from Asia Overdrive on a track that they selected.
Definitely a much closer fight, but Kimmy not having a good line there. He can't blame his car for not driving at that point. He just had a poor bobsled. And bobsled matters in this map. If you don't take the bobsled right, you're going to go flying out and you have a rough recovery. So, as we do see, we've got Spider and Starlight Pat currently in the lead, first and second. Pat actually takes it slower, but Spider got the air time. It is going to be Pat moving into first place, Spider in second. 1 and 2, that's 3 points for them. Pixels is going to be in third.
Yeah, and Kimmy, unfortunately, didn't have that glorious return they were looking for, but more importantly for Asia Overdrive, a big ace in their favor, so they're going to be feeling good to be able to get that one back and rolling on the track they selected. To reiterate the point that we had at the start of this round before, you know, the technical difficulties may have distracted us, this is a must-win for Asia Overdrive, with LaFish Fan Club having selection of the next track, a track that you would expect them to be more comfortable on. Asia Overdrive cannot afford to go to match point. They're going to need those aces. They're going to need to win this track out, and now with everyone going at full speed, to see them actually getting those results, super positive side moving forwards.
And that is definitely a good sign to see them with that consistency moving forward. Spider is also just dominating on this map. So Pixels knows he has to overtake Spider for them to get that victory, to hold them in that strong position being 2-0 up. Because if they lose this map, they've got to fight even harder on the next two, and the next two aren't looking too promising for them. One of them being their picks, the other one not so much. But Starlight Pat, you just saw his wheel on the camera, but not enough to catch up, as we do have Kimmy taking airtime, Pixels taking airtime. Kimmy's able to recover. No, Pixels able to recover. It's a draw.
Yeah, it's a straw. Starlight Pat just struggle street that entire round right now, so LaFish does enough to get themselves a draw. You can see both Kimmy and Pixel going for the risky finish right there to try and, you know, get themselves as much as possible, going for that airtime, but cutting it a bit too tight, and Asia Overdrive was able to hold on at the end of it all. Still, LaFish I mean, the fact that they salvaged a draw despite both, sort of the recovery and the reset happening, very fortunate when it's all said and done.
It is good to get that draw, but at the same time, they need those 3 points. They need to get the ace. They need to pray that Spider does not hit it cleanly and not bonking like that, not getting those little clips. As it's currently 1 and 2, Starlight and Spider. It's going to be Pixels trying to push his way forward to deny them the ace, because an ace is going to be bad news. It's going to put them 6 points ahead, and that's going to give Asia Overdrive the map, and Pixels isn't going to be too happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it turns into another ace in favor of Asia Overdrive, that would really put LaFish Fan Club in a dire situation. But we'll see how it plays out right now, going through the identity. Pixels not risking it this time, and, well, it's not going to pay off either way. Another ace for Asia Overdrive. They are now 1 round away. All they need is the round win, and they will get to their first track of the series.
Asia Overdrive are dominant on this map, as you can tell by Spider's consistency, but in the end, LaFish can still 3-ace, and that's what counts. We've seen 3 aces before. We haven't seen a catch up in 3 aces, but 3 aces is still viable, especially on this map, considering that LaFish have been able to drive decent paces.
Can I just say, you know that like fan seating selection in the identity, the one before the finish, like kind of over that last jump?
Yeah.
Those would have to be some very, very cheap tickets, because that car in 4th place does not care about your safety, and they will just send it into you.
Oh, 100%. Any of the seats that are like near the stadium in like those parts, like the bobsled one's also kind of scary.
Yeah.
This one here on this drift is actually kind of safe, decent cost tickets. This one's also pretty safe, but like, yeah, the ones near the identity, you're getting great seats. You're getting like a close-up action, but maybe a bit too close.
Yeah, it's you know what, risky business either way. Here we go, coming through the identity, past that dangerous bleacher section. No one going into the crowd this time. Instead, everyone watches the ace for Asia Overdrive as they take the 3rd track.
The crowd is going nuts, as you can hear by the crowd in the background, even though there's no crowd. But that is an ace for Asia Overdrive. Wow, words are hard, folks. Asia Overdrive taking that map, and it is going to be 2-1 still in LaFish's favor.
It's been a warm day. It's been a long night, and Asia Overdrive keeping things interesting. Going on to track number 4, bringing back the pipes, back to Aero pipes. So LaFish Fan Club, they just like the chaotic identities, I've noticed. They pick them. Aero dashing, yeah, they're going to go for that one. Agility dashing, I'm sorry, they're going to take that. Aero pipes, yeah, they're going to take that. They just want as chaotic a finale as possible.
100%, and the fact that if Asia Overdrive can take out one of the next 2 maps, we're going to be moving to map 6, and map 6 is the one we've been waiting for.
That means LaFish has to win this one. This is the one you've been waiting for. I still don't believe it exists. Reps is not real, but what is real right now is the first round in this one, and it looks pretty good for Asia Overdrive initially. Starlight Pat was out in front, but a little bit too wide through that ice section. Ashley will see the lead go back over to Spider instead as we inch our ways closer and closer to the identity. LaFish Fan Club, they're falling about a half second behind.
In the end, like, Kimmy hasn't had a good run, and that was a bonk by Starlight, and that's not a nice crash. Pixels has just made his way to the front, but keep in mind, we have not seen Spider and Starlight on this map. So we don't know how they handle the identity. We know Pixels and Kimmy are fine, but how will Asia Overdrive handle the identity, not knowing, like, we haven't seen them. We don't know how it's going to go.
Well, we're going to find out soon enough on this one right now. Everyone's super spread out. Kimmy pretty much out of the running right now. Starlight Pat still going to be looking for a clean finish, but with no pressure, I feel like everyone can take this relatively conservatively. Still a rough landing for Starlight as they kind of bonk themselves right into the finish line. Will get themselves across. Kimmy actually was able to catch Spider, and there's your answer on this one as you see Spider go down into the pool. Kimmy helps steal the round back in favor of LaFish.
That is splashdown for Spider, and that's 2-1 for LaFish straight out of the gate. That's got to be a good sign for them, knowing that they've had consistency on this map. They've put in good results, even if they haven't won their match. They've been able to take this map at a minimum, so this is their home ground. This is where they're going to be trying to get those points back, making that 3-1 so that we may not even see reps, and continue doubting the existence of reps in the Apac region.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to admit, that is a very concerning side for Asia Overdrive right there, because they had 9.5 seconds on LaFish at the end right there. So they did not need to risk. Like, they could have taken their time, just really make sure everything was lined up going into those pipes, and they still wound up losing out. We saw Spider, you know, getting flushed down this water spout, or however the nursery rhyme goes, and it just was not good for them. So I feel like, yeah, these chaotic, these super technical identities, they keep playing into LaFish's sort of wheelhouse, and yeah, maybe we see reps in the future. I don't know, but right now, Asia Overdrive, they've got to convince me that they can be competitive here.
All I'm saying is if I was duoed with someone for this, you know 100% I'm picking reps, and that's going to be one of my main picks. I am comfortable on reps, and I have a good time. What is not comfortable is the fact that everyone except for Kimmy bonked. Kimmy's able to run away with first. Pixel's right there. Starlight Pat fails. Pixels, that's an ace for them. Those two are not having a great time on Aero pipes, and I think I have my answer on how they go on Aero pipes.
Yeah, that we're learning. Spider 2 just barely gets across the line, so at least we could say Spider finished this time. Starlight Pat, unfortunately, is not able to. 5-1 lead after that ace right there, and unless Asia Overdrive can get these pipes under control, it could be a bit of a runaway track for the team in red.
Team in red's running away with this right now. 4 points in the lead. That's not even an ace. They have to literally ace once and then draw or get the victory to make sure that they can catch up to LaFish. LaFish have got such a strong standing right now. As we go into this ice slide, it is still pretty close. Spider and Starlight actually keeping pretty close. Kimmy's got a little margin, but we've seen Kimmy catch up, and especially this ending, it's going to be a decent catch up for them as we do get into the quarter pipes. Pixel's moving his way into first place with a clean plastic run. Kimmy had to go a bit wide, but he does manage to claw himself back and potentially get the gear up on this section. He's riding the gear, and you could hear it in his engine. It was straining.
It was straining, but it holds on, and just like that, Kimmy holds on to the momentum. This is the first time we've seen Asia Overdrive, though, with the lead coming out of the dirt section, so maybe this is the time they stick the pipes. Maybe this is the time they put it through. They actually kind of slow up a little bit to try and make sure, and it is Kimmy who falls. Spider looks good, but Starlight Pat does not, so still not a clean identity for Asia Overdrive, and Kimmy has a chance to actually take the round away, and they do. LaFish Fan Club, they're now on track point.
This is on track point, and this may be the third map for LaFish. Will LaFish get the ace and shut it down immediately, or will they go for a victory, maybe a tie or two? We will have to see, but knowing that Pixels has been so consistent on this identity, that's the scariest moment for these guys, knowing that Pixels can just pounce and get it easily.
And meanwhile, Asia Overdrive have still yet to have a round where both drivers have hit the identity without needing to reset. At least one of them has done it every single time, and that's just not going to be good enough to catch a team, to catch a Pixels in particular, that is thriving right now. Starlight Pat already 9 seconds down, having it to reset themselves, and that doesn't bode well either, because if they finish in fourth, unless Spider can do something crazy, well, I guess it won't be an ace necessarily by guaranteed, but now it's looking even better for it, though, as Spider is starting to drop back.
Spider did have an unfortunate clip there, and so did Pixels. Kimmy's able to burst forward. Keep in mind, Pixels is still in that third position. Spider was actually able to overtake, and that clip right there is not going to help him either. Kimmy is currently a margin ahead, but keep in mind, Pixels is the one that can hit the identity cleanly. Kimmy's onto the pipe. Spider's onto the pipe. Kimmy falls off, clips. Spider's able to recover. Spider actually clutches it, and that's going to be enough for him to keep it. Kimmy is going to get into the finish, and that's going to be a tie, which means 2 points, which is a victory as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? If you're Asia Overdrive, I suppose you'll take that, but at that same token, it was a bit unfortunate for the team in blue. Starlight Pat didn't even really have a chance to make that a round win. They were out of it by 20 seconds by the time everyone had hit the identity, so Asia Overdrive, even when things start to go right for them at the end, things still going wrong for them overall, and LaFish Fan Club no longer need just an ace. Now they can actually get through with a round win as well, and even though Kimmy didn't win that last one, they still have been one of the more consistent drivers. Actually, Pixels has been the most consistent, and Pixels once again was out in front, but Asia Overdrive take it right back. They're now sitting 1-2.
It's interesting that I was just about to say. it's interesting seeing the fact that like Pixels like through the map, like Star Asia Overdrive, Spider especially, so consistent through the rest of the map. Not really a lot of mistakes coming from them, maybe a few gearing issues, maybe a few clips, but nothing drastic. Put them on the identity, Pixel will dominate. And that's the thing about it, it's just, if Asia Overdrive can get to the identity first and safe their way through it, they'll get the victory over Pixels. It's just Pixels needs to fight hard to make sure that he can get it more consistent than them.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that's going to be the case at the moment right now with Starlight Pat nearly 6 seconds behind the leader. All what Fish Fan Club has to do is actually just shoot for the draw right here. Unless Spider, that's a rough landing, but they're able to recover. So that still is going to be at least a draw for Asia Overdrive. They'll keep them alive for another round. It will finish as a draw. LaFish, they're 1 point away from advancing to match point and being one track away from a day 2 appearance.
2 aces for Asia Overdrive, and they're going to be holding in there at 2-2. LaFish, all they have to do is draw. They can play, one could play as safe as they want, and the other one could go get first place. It just comes down to whether Asia Overdrive can ace twice in a row with Pixel's consistency. As we do get into the ice side, it's going to be Spider, Kimmy, and Pixels inside each other. Starlight Pat a little bit behind, but able to catch up. Still a close race between these guys. Kimmy actually gets the better line over Spider, and so it's going to be those two fighting it up the front. Pixels is right there as well, ready to pounce on any mistake Spider makes as Spider goes to the wide line. Pixels gets the inside drift and he's able to get a bit more speed, goes for the perfect plastic, and that is going to be handy. May not be as fast, but he's going to keep more speed out of it into this drift. It is 0.5 separating Kimmy and Pixels right now, so there is one man in the middle. Starlight Pat actually overtakes, and this is going to be a 3rd place for him. Pixel's going to be fighting forward to try and stop that, and it's going to be Kimmy in that first Spider right there as well. Kimmy's just got to get through the identity cleanly, and that's going to be the map as they get through. Kimmy makes the first jump. Kimmy makes the second jump. Kimmy gets it. It's so close. 5 milliseconds, but Spider comes 2nd place. Kimmy takes it out. That's a victory. 3 maps to 1 in LaFish's favor.
And that makes it, match point right now in LaFish. They're going to be feeling pretty good after that one. A pretty dominant performance out there on the pipes. And, well, I guess that means when you look overall, Mujiki, that is who it will be facing off against the winner of this one. Again, Mujiki, LaFish Fan Club, they want that rematch from our very first matchup of the day. Granted, it would be happening tomorrow, but that's what LaFish is fighting for as we head to Gyroscope, heading to the ice. And I don't know, is this something where Asia Overdrive can come back? Is Spider a good ice driver? Will Starlight Pat find their momentum again at Amame, or is LaFish Fan Club, are they on that precipice of making it to day 2?
This is where my lack of information has come to hurt me, because I don't know if Spider is a good ice player. He'll probably tell me he was and roast me after the stream, and that's great. But if Starlight Pat appears to be good on the ice, getting through the ice bobsled pretty easily, Kimmy actually pushing to the front with Spider there. I know Kimmy's decent at ice. I've thrown ice identities at that guy and he's done well. I put ice in a couple of the maps I've built and I've always seen him do well on it. So Kimmy's good on ice, I know for a fact. Spider and Starlight, haven't seen much, but I hope they can.
Well, we're going to find out quick enough. Again, Asia Overdrive did select this map, and well, that would usually have us thinking, okay, they'd be pretty confident on the slick stuff right now. They're looking pretty good right now, getting into the identity of this one. Kimmy looks pretty good, actually has a super big line, but wounds up bonking instead. That's going to be an ace going to Asia Overdrive.
You might want to get your alarm bells for that, folks, because that was a pretty illegal wall bang. He did rub against the wall, but it's fine. Get your alarm bells ringing, folks, because that was a illegal wall bang. But it doesn't matter anyway. That's an ace for Asia Overdrive, so no harm done.
Ring a ding ding, the alarm bells right there. Who makes the call? Who is the judge who would step in and be like, nah, that ain't fly?
That would come down to the admins who are watching the match, the ones who pause it and everything. They've got to make the judgment on whether it's an advantageous illegal wallbang, because like in that situation, it is a ace regardless. It's not that advantageous, but if it was to put Kimmy into a higher position with that wallbang, it could be frowned upon. But in that case, it was an ace, so it didn't matter either way. Kimmy just ate the barrier. I think we talked too much about Kimmy, and Kimmy got nervous.
Yeah, whenever the caster curses have been real tonight. I have to point that one out as we are watching Spider just absolutely nail the identity right there. Comes across 1-2, finish it for the second time in a row. Asia Overdrive get themselves the ace.
That was a really, really clean run on Gyroscope there. That would have been about a top 200 time there by Spider, which definitely is not bad, especially some of the paces we've been seeing on these maps have been really solid, but that was a good run by Spider to get a 57-2 on that.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be feeling pretty proud of that one, and hopefully for Asia Overdrive, they can keep that momentum moving forwards right now, get us closer. Look, it looks like we're going to reps at the pace that Asia Overdrive is going. 2 aces in a row, 6-0 lead. They want it to happen. They're rooting. They're pulling it off just for you, Edamame.
They want the cast to be exciting because reps is the only map I haven't talked about, and reps is the map I want to talk about. So they really want me to cast what goes on reps, and judging by this performance, Starlight, Pat, and Spider 1 and 2 right now, they might be going for the triple ace as we see them line up onto the dirt section. Pixels won't be able to catch up as they get through this nice quarter pipe, so clean by them. Comes down to the identity. Will both of them hit it cleanly? We shall see. Both of them go for the spin. Pixels is right there as well, but won't be able to catch up. That's another ace for Asia Overdrive, and that's 9-0.
I am, just based on what we're seeing right now, I am actually a little bit surprised we didn't see Asia Overdrive kind of pick Gyroscope first. You know what I mean? They saved it for track 5 when it could have been track 1 or 3, and maybe we'd be looking at a different complexion at this stage of the matchup. But as it stands right now, Asia Overdrive, all they need is the draw. But let's be real. We want to get those brooms out. We want to see the sweep. If Asia Overdrive can bring this one back going into your favorite track, Edamame, I think that could be an exciting finish to this one. As it stands right now, though, Kimmy actually looks pretty decent going around the Iceland.
See, I have a theory about why they didn't pick this map first. And it comes down to if they pull out their big gun, like this map, you can see they're just dominating right now. Kimmy's actually got the lead, but Spider is still keeping pace. Gets the better ice slide, and it's going to come down to this identity here. But pulling out their Joker, basically, is bad to do early on. They may as well go, oh yeah, play these other maps. By the way, here's Gyroscope. We do this. Another clean run by Spider, and that's him getting that. That's another ace. That is a 4-ace match. That is a clean sweep on Gyroscope. And that's the Joker they were holding until later when they knew they were about to lose.
Well, it's a good time to pull it out. The clean sweep. The first one of the evening goes in favor to Asia Overdrive. However, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring out the Rocket League analogy right here. Sometimes when a team gets blown out in a game of Rocket League, it's actually not as bad as losing a close matchup because it's so much easier to reset the mental. So even though 12-0 looks bad, it probably doesn't feel the worst for LaFish Fan Club, especially knowing that we're going to reps, a track that they chose. Expect them to bounce back. I think not only are we going to get reps right now, I think this is going to be our final track. I'm thinking LaFish is going to take it.
I am interested to see, but as you guys have probably guessed, this is my favorite track from the World Tour, other than Flip of Faith. But let's talk about reps, the only map we haven't been able to discuss tonight. Reps starts out with a jump onto a slanted beam platform. What a way to start off the map. You get into Sausage, you do a 180 drift, and you have to try and get a smooth transition into this other hairpin drift on a bank. You go for a wide line, get no air time as you saw Spider did there, and you want to push around on the grass, trying to keep basically minimal skidding, landing into the dirt. You don't want to go to the outside bank, but you want to keep outside to go for that outside dirt after hitting that bank. As we get into this section, another black platform beam as we go through a small chicane and then a little drift to get around this corner, reactor down onto the dirt where you're going for a tight line. You can full steer this with no dramas. Kimmy did. You then get into the loop onto the grass where you want to try and keep a very tight line here, and you want to get that penalty grass to actually stop the air time. And once you get onto this, you land flat on here, transition onto this black thing, and if you can manage it, you can then drive through on the beam into the finish like Pixel did. And that's going to be a draw for these guys.
You know what? It wasn't You did a much cleaner job explaining that run than the drivers may have done hitting it, but that's all well and good. I'm glad we got a draw, and now things get interesting. 9 points away from securing themselves into day 2 from LaFish Fan Club. 9 points away is Asia Overdrive from taking us into track number 7, our first one of the evening. This is our first track 6 of the evening as well, so definitely a bit more pressure that we've seen between these two. Well, actually, that's not true. We did see a track 6, but we didn't see the entire matchup, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought we've had a couple. I swear
Doesn't count.
A 4-2.
Doesn't count.
Look, we don't count it. But this match is going really well in Kimmy's favor. Pixels in number 2. Spider and Starlight are a checkpoint behind. That's not going to be good for them as we get around onto the dirt. We saw Kimmy mess this up, but this time he's taken it cleanly. Pixels right behind as well, 1 and 2. As they head onto the grass, Kimmy is going for that tight line, goes across the penalty. The penalty grass here is actually advantageous because you don't want the air time, so that's actually handy. As you now transition onto here with the black beam, both of them 1 and 2, hitting it cleanly. They've got a margin. That is an ace for LaFish. As we have the other two coming into the finish. Spider trying to recover and make it. Starlight Pat made the first one, and he is in the finish in 3rd, and Spider getting 4th place.
This isn't a promising start that I wanted to see from Asia Overdrive at all. If we're going to be looking for that sort of track number 7 right now, because twice in a row Pixels has looked so cool, calm, and collected on this track. Not to mention the fact that we've seen Asia Overdrive make a lot of mistakes, and I'm seeing similarities almost into how Asia Overdrive looked when it came back to the Aero pipes as well, where they're just unable to really stick that clean run in. Granted, early days perhaps, and they still have time to bounce it back, but if we don't see, you know, that sort of clean identity coming from Asia Overdrive right here, right now, they're going to find themselves, I feel, almost well and truly out of this match.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for them if they are unable to catch up. And Pixels right now in that 3rd position is a bit of a margin behind Spider, but Kimmy can hold that pace, and if he can hold that consistency, that's still going to be a victory. That's still 2 points, and that still gets you 1 step closer to the day 2 appearance. And especially on this identity, it's going to be a close fight as they do head onto the penalty grass to slow themselves down. Kimmy's going to be trying to hold it over Spider. Spider's got a bit more pace. As we do have Kimmy getting the transition smoothly, it's going to be a close fight. It's going to come down to the wire, but it's not enough. Kimmy 1, Spider 2, Pixels 3. That's 2 points for the Fish.
That is 2 more points for LaFish, and that's another round where Starlight Pat has been struggling, unfortunately, for the Asia Overdrive side. Still, though, good promising side from Spider right there, able to keep up with Kimmy. We also saw Pixels can bleed when put under that little bit of extra pressure. 4 points away, though, LaFish Fan Club. That's 2 rounds, an ace or a draw, 2-round victories. Either way, they're getting so close to that rematch tomorrow. Can they keep that momentum moving forwards?
We got to see how they go in these last few rounds. LaFish really want to get this, and they're making sure they're taking no airtime. I never understood why that ramp was too wide, and watching these guys, I now understand why that ramp is too wide as we do get into the dirt section. That is an unfortunate line from Kimmy, but Pixels is able to keep it steady. Spider's fighting with him right now, and Spider actually moves into 1st place. Kimmy in that 3rd position. Starlight right in the back trying to catch up with these guys. Kimmy's only a small margin behind and knows he could get it back at the end. As we do head into the loop. Clean lines from Spider and Pixels as they go through the loop. Perfect execution by them, and it's going to be Pixels and Spider. Spider actually gains the lead early. As they come into the downhill grass section, it's going to be Pixels. Pixels slightly ahead of Spider as long as they can both hit it cleanly. Pixels hits it cleanly. Kimmy's able to get the respawn. Starlight Pat actually hits it cleanly. And that's not going to be good for LaFish. That's a draw. They have to ace to win.
Yeah, they have to ace to win, but they still got that nice little bit of a cushion. And even though Kimmy made that unforced error, Starlight Pat still isn't really coming across this track super cleanly yet. So not ideal for LaFish, but definitely they're not hitting the panic button. If anything, Asia Overdrive is going to be starting to hit that panic button right now, because unless Starlight Pat can turn themselves around, LaFish should stay in that driver's seat. Pixels back on that consistent train. Kimmy struggles at the end. We'll see where we go from here as we head down into the grass. 2 different lines coming from the 2 drivers of Asia Overdrive, and Starlight Pat maybe not on the stronger one as they're starting to slowly fall further and further back.
You can definitely tell the difference in the lines because I did that jump line and Spider, who was getting those faster speed, does not. He actually gets full traction, and that's what you need on this map. And that, I believe, is the error that a lot of people do make on this map, is they don't go for the lack of airtime. They just jump down and hope for the best, and that costs time and acceleration. So that could cost Starlight, but Spider's actually gone to the back, and Starlight's caught up. So it's currently Kimmy and Pixels, number 1, number 2, coming into the finale, and that's a crash. That's a crash by Kimmy. That's going to mean that Kimmy is going to be able to get the victory here, and that is 1 point away from securing their day 2 appearance.
Asia Overdrive stays alive, but it is by the skin of their teeth, and more realistically, by, you know, some rubber grip left on the track, as we saw Kimmy go careening into the pool. Either way, though, you need to get the double ace to stay in this if you're Asia Overdrive. No longer can they afford any mistakes, and my eyes are falling back to Starlight Pat. This has not been their track. This has not been their round, but maybe they can start to shift that momentum. They're going to have to dig deep because they're already nearly a second down.
That is not a good sign from them, but as we do head into the middle of the map, Kimmy takes an unfortunate clip, and he's slowing down. Starlight Pat able to move into that 3rd position right now. They know that they have to get that ace, and Pixels knows that all he has to do is hold on, and he will be making a day 2 appearance heading through the loop. This is some close stuff.
A chance to get a rematch against the Russians right here for the Fish Fan Club. They lost to them at the start of the stream, but we could be seeing them open for day 2 as well. If Pixels can just hold on, going through the identity, if they can keep it clean, they're going to win the round, in fact. But no, it's a little bit of a boo-boo right there. Has to reset. It's Kimmy who pushes them through because Spider crashed out as well, and the Fish Fan Club advanced to day 2 in the lower bracket final.
That was a close fight in the end. Lovely horn from Spider, but does not matter even if it was a tie. Congratulations to the Fish. They will be moving forward to the lower bracket final tomorrow, which does mean Asia Overdrive did not make it. They had some good fights, but it was not enough. The Fish proving they are, in fact, the superior fan club in this case.
Yeah, and I mean, this was a great day for LaFish as well, struggling in the first round, but making that lower bracket run to get themselves a guaranteed top 3 finish, get themselves into that lower bracket final, and who knows, maybe that momentum will carry with themselves into tomorrow, now a better understanding of their opponents and how they look. That being said, Edamame, from everything that we've seen today, I still feel, yes, this fight for second, this fight to make it to the final is going to be exciting, but Vobi still looks scary.
Vobi is definitely still scary, and the fact they're going to be in the upper bracket final, you guys will be seeing them tomorrow with that, but we'll quickly check out the bracket standings as soon as it decides to load, because of course it doesn't want to load. Why would it? Yes, we will switch back to the casting screen while I pretend that everything works as intended. Yes, so that was a thing. I'll just fix that up. Give me a second. Are you excited for tomorrow's matches?
I'm super excited for tomorrow's matches. I'm super excited as well because I get to actually watch the matches instead of being forced to work. So I'll be watching along instead. But yeah, no, I think it's gonna be keen. Again, feeling really confident that like Vobi should be able to like put it together and probably come through on top. But I don't know, like 4-0, 4-0s, 4-1s, 4-2s, like. No track 7s all through today. So that's what I want to see tomorrow, Edamame. I want to see at least one track 7.
That's something we do want to see tomorrow. But as you can see from the standings right now, we do have Bedge taking out Kurz and then losing to Vobi in their second round. We have Vobi going all the way through to the grand final. Tomorrow we'll be seeing Mujuki and LaFish dueling it out. Asia Overdrive, obviously, unfortunately, coming third in that fourth in that regard. Whoever wins that lower bracket final will be going through to the grand final. Vobi have already earned themselves the 5 Trackmania World Tour points that they need. So it's going to be some exciting stuff. But unfortunately, yes, we do say goodbye to Kurz Purple, Juice Racing, Trackmania New India, and Bedge.
As well as Asia Overdrive as well, coming up short at the tail end of it all. Only 3 teams will be remaining out there for tomorrow. But I mean, if you're into the Trackmania, World Tour right now, I mean, there's not even, how do I best put this? You don't even have to wait until tomorrow for more Trackmania World Tour, because I'm pretty sure in just a couple hours right now, in fact, 1 hour, we're going to be seeing EU getting kicked off as well.
Indeed. We are going to be seeing the Prime region, the EU region, with over 100 teams registered. You've been seeing ones with, 16 teams, 9 teams, 8 teams. Try over 100, 150 listed duos, roughly. It is going to be exciting. We're going to be seeing a lot of upsets. We're going to be seeing a lot of disappointments. But it is going to be some exciting stuff. And day one starts tomorrow. As another note for anyone in the Apac region who does want to compete, we will have our second regional. We'll have tomorrow, obviously, to play out the finals because we've got to, crown the winners. But in 3 weeks' time, Regional 2 registrations will be open, so you'll be able to sign up for that and basically get ready for that. So tomorrow play, if you want to register, make sure you register your duo. Find out how to do so in the T-Mail Discord or in the Trackmania Discord. Information's around there, but make sure you register if you want to compete for your chance to go for some points. Anything you want to say before we head off?
Just a reminder too, especially for that APAC region, look for Australia, Asia, or Eastern Russia. If you're living there, this is where you sign up to it. If you're living in a different region, you can find out how to sign up for your region as well. I'm excited to watch Europe, so I'm ready to sign off, get some food in me, and sit myself right back down for day one of EU, my friend.
Exactly, and I'm definitely keen to go and cook my dinner and, enjoy the rest of my evening. So signing off for now, I've been your host, the Thunder from Down Under, your beautiful Australian caster, Edamame TV. Joining me, the wonderful Rocket League caster himself, Formal Casting, and we will see you guys tomorrow.